Going live, and we'll be live right away. Hello, YouTube. This is a Dark Tower Palaver. This is we always do a little bit of an intro for you guys on the video side, but this is a podcast. We've been doing a podcast for a number of years now. We added YouTube a few years in, and then just recently added the video side in. So that's kind of what you're seeing ultimately is a video of our podcast recording. So it will be long. We're still hoping to get some shorter content put on the YouTube channel, but we just got to get that planned out and figure out some things and post those. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, we will go ahead and basically let's just get started. We got a few. Looks like people may be filing into the live chat here. But let's go ahead and hit the intro and get started. It's going to be a lot of fun stuff to talk about this episode.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own Palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland to the Dark Tower came.
We are content, one from many. Let the Palaver begin.
Hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. This is our podcast covering Stephen King's magnum opus, The Dark Tower series. My name is Tad.
And I'm Peter.
And as well as The Dark Tower, if you're familiar with The Dark Tower, you should know that also means that we extend into the entire King universe. We'll always be going through the paradigm of The Dark Tower, though. We always travel those doors and those highways and byways of America more so than maybe some other constant readers might. So, we're here for roundtable number 110. And we are, I think, maybe getting back to the spot where we're almost on normal schedule again. I think we were discussing that just before we went live here. Let me pull up the calendar. So, we got this episode, and then the next episode will be a book club. And then moving into October, we'll be back to our normal cadence of 2 roundtables for every book club. But we'll have this week, and then in a fortnight, we'll have book club number 10 for the Wastelands. So that's what we got coming up in terms of that. But we'll go ahead and jump into the intro stuff real quick, especially for new listeners. People that have been here a while probably know them by now. But if you're new, we want to first of all warn you about spoilers. This is a roundtable, therefore spoilers are pretty much going to happen. We don't really plan it, but it always happens. Characters, the end of their storylines, the end of books, the end of the entire series. Those things tend to just get thrown out there willy-nilly in these episodes. So if you haven't finished the 7 primary books, you may want to cry off this episode and stick to our book club episodes. On those ones, we stay where we're at or before, and that is it. So you are safe listening to those if you want to if you're like maybe sitting in the middle of book 5 right now and you want to listen to those episodes. Next up, if you want to find us, you can find us on Apple Podcasting. You can stream us on Spotify or Stitcher. You can find us on any podcasting service out there. If you ever find one that is like maybe new on the block and we're not on there, let us know and we'll try to get on there. If you can subscribe, rate, and review us on any of those services, we appreciate that. It usually helps the show find new listeners. Then next up, we have our show notes at darktowerpalaver.com. It's our website. We have a number of things on there. All the episodes will have show notes like this episode. All the articles that we're going to cover, all that kind of stuff will be on there. As well as there's a section for new listener questions. Those are questions that we've asked new listeners over the years to kind of for you to introduce yourself to us. If you want to send us an email, you can use that as kind of a primer to your email. You can answer one of the questions. You can answer all the questions. Anywhere in between, it's totally up to you. It's just kind of a way to help you introduce yourself to us as you are now part of our extended quartet. Then if you want to support the show, you can do that on Patreon. It's over at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. With that, we have monthly hangouts where we do different things. We're now taking requests for those. We've been doing some commentaries. And then, of course, we actually have a deep dive into a non-Dark Tower, well, semi non-Dark Tower book.
Every book is related to the Dark Tower in some way.
Yeah. So we have something like that coming up, and then you also have our Discord server. You'll have access to it no matter what level you subscribe at the Patreon level. So if you want to torment Peter throughout the in the fortnight between episodes, you can do that there. It's something that I've enjoyed doing for 20 years now. Tormenting Peter constantly, because we got text messaging was like a really big thing right when we were in high school. So pretty much the whole time we've been friends, I've been able to torment you via text.
The funny thing was that at first, text messaging was not allowed. It's like, oh, you only have 100 text messages, so only text me in an emergency. But then me and you both got sidekicks, which had AOL Instant Messenger. So we've always seemed to have like our own special messaging. Yeah, because it went from that to then we used what was it, Thema? Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
or is it Threema? I always mix it up.
I can't remember.
But now we're on a different one, and so it's just like I always have like a specific ringtone for Tad's text. I always know.
So you can brace yourself.
The best part is that I hear it go off, and even my wife will be like, "Oh fuck, what does he want now?"
I love that. That makes me happy. And then if you want to contact us, you can do that in a number of ways, and Peter can let you know how to do that.
Best way is email. It's darktowerpalaver@gmail.com. And then we have our shows here on YouTube. It's youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Make sure to subscribe, like the videos, and then ring the bells. That's the way you get notifications. Carol mentioned it in the chat just now, live. She said, "Wow, glad this reminder popped up because I'm about to give a speech in a few and have nerves going, but we'll hang out with y'all until it's time to go." So that's why you get that notification going by ringing that bell. And then our social media is facebook.com/darktowerpalaver, and our Twitter is @darktower pod, @darktowerpod, and then Instagram is darktowerpalaver, all one word. And then we do have our merchandise available. It's tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver. So again, tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver, where you can get a sticker. Like this one right here.
I mean, that's a slanderous sticker, but you can also get the normal Dark Tower logo, as I have on my shirt. But yes, there's a number of things over there, and I even put you on full screen there for that.
Oh, did you? Go back to full screen real fast. So I got a new shirt. Before it was just kind of like a prototype from our previous one. This is my first TeePublic one, so I got it in blue this time.
Yeah, again, slander, of course.
And then you got the cool Dark Tower logo below it.
Yeah, and then I've got the standard shirt, which is of course just the standard logo that you see on the screen when we've got the slideshow up, as well as on your podcast feeds and stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, I've got all that fun stuff over there.
And the nice thing about it is like the sticker just came straight off of like the hashtag Tad is Terrible logo. So you don't have to do anything special. Literally go to the webpage and just select whichever one you want, the classic logo that Tad's got or the hashtag Tad is Terrible that I got. And then you select any number of products. Tad, we got to know, what's the pillow situation look like?
It's on the way.
It's on the way?
Yes.
It's been ordered?
It has been ordered.
Hallelujah. You can get a pillow, you can get sweaters, you can get t-shirts, hoodies.
Last weekend for Labor Day they had a sale. So I jumped on there and grabbed a pillow.
Yeah, I got the sticker on the same sale. I got it for $2. It cost me $2 to be able to put that on my water bottle. So every time I take a drink now,
you're slandering me. Because of course it's not true.
Just reminding you that you're horrible.
Of course that's not true. I'm a lovable character.
No.
So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. So first thing I want to let you guys know about the news is I actually prepped a bunch of stuff for the last episode when we had Jeremy from Dark Tower Radio on. Just because I never know, whenever it's planning a podcast, it's always interesting because you don't know necessarily how the conversation is going to go. So I had prepped the news that we would have covered in that episode had it been a normal roundtable. But obviously, if you listen to that episode, you realize we went full length with our Palaver. So basically, everything we're covering in this episode is the news that we would have covered in the last. It's stuff that is, so it's maybe not as new. But as part of that, though, because at the end of the episode, in our Palaver section, we're going to have our top 10 King kids, which I knew would be a long conversation as well. So I actually have not even looked at the news very heavily in the last couple weeks. So everything that we would normally cover on this episode, like maybe newer news, if you're like, maybe you've seen some of the news headlines and you're wondering why we don't talk about it in this episode, that's why we're just doing the backlog in the top 10 King kids. And then in October, whatever date that was, let me pull it back up here, October 9th, when we come back for Roundtable 111, we will go ahead and cover everything and get 100% caught up. So this one is, all this is, a couple weeks old, but it is stuff that we have not covered yet. So it should be exciting to cover some of this stuff.
So next time, book club, time after that, we'll get caught up on news.
Yep.
Okay.
I probably would have done it if it wasn't for the kids conversation. Because
we've pushed that off enough.
Yeah, that
was supposed to be in August.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. Then the first one here, Peter will be happy about. Zac Efron's Firestarter remake has wrapped.
Yes.
Then it says, here's how the actor celebrated. This is by Catherine Webb from Cinema Blend on July 17th, 2021. It says, in a recent Instagram post, Zac Efron let fans know about the massive milestone with Firestarter. Alongside a photo of himself and co-star Ryan Kira Armstrong, Efron let his followers know how excited he is for all to see Keith Thomas's new movie. Check out the short but sweet update below. So the first one on his Instagram was this slide here, and it is he and Ryan Kira Armstrong, which is playing Charlie, sitting in front of a fire truck, hugging. So that's great. And then the second one on his Instagram post, we actually get a little bit of an idea of that cool fucking Firestarter shirt that they had for the cast and crew, it looks like.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see it on hers a little bit. On the front, it says Firestarter. It looks like it says Firestarter on the front and back. But yeah, looks pretty cool. And she maybe looks like she's ready to burn something there. Yeah. He looks like maybe Zac Efron may have just told a dad joke, perhaps. I don't know. Just seems like that's the kind of face that a kid would give when dad gives a dad joke, I think. So then it says, in addition to the actor's cool Firestarter crew t-shirts, the fire truck in the background is a cute touch, given the premise of the movie. In Firestarter, Efron will play Andy McGee, the father who must save his pyrokinetic daughter Charlie from a frightening government agency that wants to use her powers. So it's safe to say that the fire truck probably came in handy at some point on set. And yeah, it's probably likely. I remember when they kicked off the shoot, they had the guy on fire, and they posted that.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm sure a fire truck would have been very handy. It seems like Efron is really excited about his work in this one, and it's not hard to see why. The actor has branched into a lot of different genres over the years, from movie musicals to frat house comedies to period dramas. Firestarter will be his first pure horror film, though that should give him a chance to expand his repertoire yet again. And given that his horror movie debut is attached to a Stephen King, attached to the name Stephen King, it's especially an impressive addition to his resume.
Firestarter's not a horror novel. It's a thriller. It's not this. Stop lumping in everything that Stephen King writes as a horror novel. Like, come on.
Yeah, I think you could easily execute it as a horror.
No,
I think you could.
How do you make the person who's responsible for killing people the good guy?
Well, it's not just that. The Shop. You can play them as horror, especially Rainbird. If Rainbird is done properly, I think it could easily be a pretty terrifying movie.
Not just a judo chop to the nose.
Dude, that is still the best. Still the best. That judo chop to the face, man. That was brutal. George C. Scott. Then it says, it is too early to know whether Efron's first foray into Stephen King's creepy canon will be a hit or a miss. But if you're a fan of the actor and the author, it's easy to root for its success. Firestarter release date has not been set yet, but it is fair to assume that it'll hit theaters sometime in 2022, which we are almost there to 2022.
Well, this was written in July.
I know, but I'm just saying we're getting close. Like, we're kind of just in the heart of September here.
Yeah.
So we're getting there, though. We're definitely on the downhill slide of this year. So
it's starting to feel like it too. Like, it's not as blistering hot here in Utah.
Yeah,
which is always the sign for us. Is it's like we'll have it slowly go down, and then we'll have what do they call it? Indian summer, I think is what they call it, where it gets hot again in like October, November.
Yeah,
before we get punched in the mouth with 4 feet of snow in January and February.
Yeah,
because it's always the same for me every year. I'm 35 years old. It happens to me every year. it turns to November, and I'm like, hey, it's wintertime. Like, it's starting to be wintertime. It's the holidays.
Yeah.
Where's the snow? But we're getting, a little bit of rain, or it's 85 degrees outside, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on. Like, stop it. Where's my 3 feet of snow that I always want every year? And then we get on the other side of Christmas and New Year's, and I'm like, okay, let's get to spring. And then it's like, okay, 4 snowstorms in 1 week for us here in Utah. It's like, no, this was supposed to be 2 months. Stop it.
Yeah. Indeed.
I'm just off by like a couple months for where I want winter to happen.
Be excited for Firestarter. It is now in post-production. So
that's awesome.
That's fun. Well, at least it was in July. It might even be wrapped by now.
Yeah, it could
I mean,
be.
most likely not, though.
No,
Post-production takes a long time. So I would imagine it's going to be going for a good while, probably into next year. I don't know when the release date will be, but when the release, probably close to the release date, within a month of the release date is probably when they'll actually completely lock everything down from post-production.
Probably got some CGI stuff to take care of.
Yeah, some CG fireballs.
Exactly.
And some flaming horses.
Dude, #that is terrible. Man.
Hey, I'm not the one that did it. That's Stephen King is terrible.
You're a monster. I don't think the horses die in the novel, do they?
I think if you catch on fire.
Do they really?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've read the book.
She tries not to harm them, but
yeah,
I believe there's at least a few that get
oh damn,
get torched. So that's brutal. So next up,
maybe it is a horror movie. Not because any people die, but if a horse dies, damn.
Yeah. I just rewatched recently Chernobyl, and episode 4, of course, is
so rough.
If one has not seen that, if you're a dog lover, it will be a very hard episode to watch. I mean, you've seen some pretty horrific shit by that point in the series. But again, like you said, watching humans die the most horrific ways possible. Like, yeah, I can handle that. Then suddenly, gunning down dogs. It's like, oh, okay, no, this isn't cool. I don't like this. So let's go ahead and jump over to the next one here. This is an exciting one. Stephen King gets into the podcast game with a series based on Night Shift.
Nice.
So this is by Brenna Elrich from the Rolling Stone on July 20th, 2021, which is apropos there a little bit because Rolling Stone is where Charlie is going at the end of Firestarter. Although the movie changes it to the New York Times, proving that they must not have read the book,
Yeah.
Because New York Times, wasn't that literally one of the ones that King mentions as one they absolutely couldn't go to?
Yeah.
Like, there's no major paper like that
was,
wouldn't have at least some ties to the government.
It was the New York Times and Washington Post were specifically
the ones
called
that were
out.
mentioned is like, no, it can't go to them. Then the movie,
We might as well just walk up to the shop's front door and knock on it.
Yeah, no kidding. I remember watching that, I was like, oh my God, really? So then this is a short one here, but it says constant readers are about to become constant listeners as Stephen King enters the final frontier of storytelling, the podcast. King has partnered up with Audio Up Media, iHeartMedia, and producer Lee Metzger, which is from The Voice, to create Strawberry Spring, a new show based on tales from his 1978 short story collection, Night Shift. The series follows a journalist as he hunts for a serial killer named Spring Heel Jack. Metzger said in a release, as a lifelong fan of Stephen King, I couldn't be more excited to work with Jared, Audio Up, and iHeartMedia to bring the story to life. I couldn't ask for a better project for my first scripted podcast. Now, yeah, that's exciting. We said for years, I don't even know if King knows that podcasts exist, but then I think he tweeted something at one point in the last 6 months that, he mentioned a podcast.
I was going to say, didn't he suggest one?
I'm like, he knows about podcasts. And then now, of course, it's like, there's no doubt now. But this is just taking his content. Yeah. He's not actually sitting in front of a mic and recording a podcast. Have you ever listened to any fiction, podcasts, like scripted?
I started to.
I have not.
I realized what it was and stopped.
Okay.
Because it's not what I expect from podcasts. That's not what I use podcasts for. I have a very distinct I'm very particular about what I want from a podcast. That's why I literally have 4 that I'm currently subscribed to right now.
Yeah.
And one of them is only a temporary one because it's that one you showed me, Band of Brothers one.
Yeah.
that they're doing for the 20th anniversary of the show.
Yeah.
That's the only one currently that I have. I mean, I have R2.
But see, that's like a standard podcast, though, right? Like the Band of Brothers one. Like, it's not like a narrative podcast telling a story.
No,
so,
it's standard. It's basically interview is what it is. He has a special guest on each week.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily opposed to like fiction podcasts, like storytelling scripted podcasts. I've just never jumped into any of them. I'm guessing this might be the first one for me then for that. But yes, for me, I'm with you. It's certainly not what I registered in my mind as a podcast, but I do know it's something that's been popular over the last couple of years, especially as podcasting has exploded in the last 4 or 5 years now. A big part of that is things like Serial, which is more what I would consider podcasting in my mind. But then from that, a lot of people have started doing scripted content on podcasts, which has been really popular as well. So it's just something that I have not, that's not a frontier I've moved into with podcasting. I'm not against it by any means. So I'm going to have to jump on this Stephen King one here, which let me go back. Where did it say the name? Constant Readers. God, where's the title of it? I did just read the title, right? I'm not seeing it here in the notes. I am losing my mind. Yes, but we will link that in the, not only this article, but we will link the actual connection to the
Strawberry Spring.
Yeah, Strawberry Spring. So we'll link that in the show notes as well. So yeah, maybe go check that out. That should be fun.
Yeah.
Of course, Stephen King short stories are a lot of fun.
Does it give any kind of a release date? Did it say that?
No, but I think it is out now. Just from
Is it?
things I've seen. Yes.
Let's check.
So yeah, that is definitely fun. And now the next step, of course, is hopefully somebody will get Stephen King on a podcast where he is sitting in front of a mic and talking, because that would be wonderful. I can listen to hours of interviews of Stephen King. And in fact, I was just thinking recently I might be hitting on writing again, because I've been seeing a lot of people talk about that, and I haven't listened to that one in a while. And it's just great because he actually narrates it himself. So it really just sounds like Stephen King's talking to you and telling you a story, and then kind of at the same time also like teaching you to write with like some pointers and stuff.
There is officially 4 episodes of Strawberry Spring already out, with the newest one coming out 3 days ago. It's chapter 3. But I will say episode 1 is an introduction that's only 3 minutes long.
Okay.
So the first episode, chapter 1, was released on September 1st. It looks like they did a double release. They did 2 episodes on that day. So 2 episodes on September 1st, and then the third episode, second release, was on the 8th. So it looks like it's weekly.
Weekly. Yeah.
Subscribe.
Hello.
I think I know what I'm going to be listening to on the way home.
Hello, Travis. And I think Travis asked, doesn't he read the book? If you're talking about on writing, yeah, Stephen King does narrate that one, so that's pretty fun. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump over to the next one. And this is always a fun picture to have up on the screen. And it is a reboot of Stephen King's Salem's Lot, now set to kick off filming in Ipswich. This is by Josh Milliken from Dread Central on July 20th, 2021.
Now, is this the one that's set like before?
No.
Like...
This is the actual Salem's Lot.
Okay.
The other one is titled
Chapelwaite?
Yeah, Chapelwaite.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's out now. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I have seen some people on Twitter talking about it. So
Where's that one on?
That one is on that weird channel. I don't know. I think you might be able to subscribe to it through like Amazon and stuff, but it's like a third-party thing. It's not like a Netflix or a Hulu or something. It's something completely different.
Looking it up.
But I think you can access it through I think you could subscribe to whatever has Chapelwaite on like Amazon or something, where they let you do like third-party
like HBO.
apps.
Yeah.
So I believe there's a way to do that. If you are not one that has cable or whatever it's on. No, so this one, though, is Salem's Lot. This will be the first time that Salem's Lot is on the big screen. Yeah, Epix.
And you're right. Season 1 with Prime Video channels. So yeah, so it's on Epix as Chapelwaite.
Yeah, so this one is Salem's Lot's first foray into the big screen, and it's been adapted twice now, but both have been on television. So this will be the first time in the big screen. It says it looks like the latest reboot of Stephen King's vampire horror Salem's Lot, written and directed by Gary Doberman, which he did It and the Annabelle. He did a lot of Annabelle movies, but it credits him with Annabelle Comes Home, but I believe he's done all of those Annabelle movies. is set to begin filming soon in Ipswich, Massachusetts. Ipswich Daily News today reported, and then this is a quote from that publication. It says filming will take place in the Antiques area of South Main Street for 5 or 6 days. Town manager Tony Marino told the select board on Monday. The movie planned is Salem's Lot, a remake of Stephen King's classic tale about vampires in a small Maine town. So yeah, kind of one of those things. We've seen that before, where sometimes a local news source will kind of tip the hand that filming is going to be happening. But then it says further confirmation of the production comes from the Production Weekly, who includes Salem's Lot in their most recent issue, dated July 15th. And Production Weekly, I think, is a thing for like lower level people on set to find jobs. So like if you're like a painter or you're, like someone that is a little bit
Carpenter.
Yeah. Like
electrician.
You're not your director, not your producer, not your actors, but like everyone else on set, they can find job listings in Production Weekly. So sometimes you'll get tips there as well. Salem's Lot, the novel by Stephen King, was first published in 1975. In 1979, a made-for-TV miniseries was released, directed by Toby Hooper. The book was adapted again in 2004 for television, this time with Michael Salmon in the director's chair. So that's the one with Rob Lowe, in the lead role. So, I'm looking forward to that. So that's now officially filming. That will be fully in swing now.
Travis has a statement about Salem's Lot here. He says, I don't remember if they talk about it in the book, but I know that Salem's Lot is shorthand for Jerusalem. Doesn't the difference in name denote a certain connotation? One sounds welcoming, the other sinister.
Yeah, this King actually wanted the book to be titled Jerusalem's Lot.
Wasn't it shot down because it was religion?
Right? the publisher said that would make people think it was religious in nature, so it was shortened to Salem's Lot. So yeah, the actual town is called Jerusalem's Lot.
It even says it in the novel. They don't even really call it Salem's Lot. They call it the Lot sometimes.
Yeah,
but they do. It is still Jerusalem's Lot. It's not shortened in the book.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I know the story. I don't know if either of them necessarily sound welcoming to me. Jerusalem's Lot, that just sounds like a place where I'm going to get burned as a witch. And then Salem's Lot, just like, yeah. Like, I think of that, what we're seeing on the screen right now.
Anything with Salem just kind of is less like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm going to nope out of this one.
Because I've seen that dude floating outside the window there. So, no, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, so then next up here, we've got Jackie Brown icon Pam Grier joins the cast of Pet Sematary prequel. This is an exclusive from Vanity Fair. Rebecca Rubin from Vanity Fair on July 23rd, 2021 says the prequel to Paramount's 2019 horror film Pet Sematary has added Jackie Brown star Pam Grier to its call sheet. Grier joins the cast that includes Jackson White, which is from Mrs. Fletcher, Forrest Goodluck from The Revenant, Jake Mulhern from Mayor of Easttown, Natalie Aylin Lind from The Goldbergs, Isabel Starr LeBlanc. The upcoming Pet Sematary will serve as an origin story to the Stephen King novel about a family that discovers a rather disturbing graveyard in the woods behind their home. The movie, which still doesn't have a title, began shooting in August and will debut exclusively on Paramount Plus, the recently rebranded streaming service from Viacom CBS, on an undetermined date. It is set up at Paramount Players, a division of Paramount that specializes in genre fare. The film marks the feature directorial debut of Lindsay Beer, who previously wrote the screenplay to Netflix's coming-of-age Sierra Burgess is a Loser, and created the Netflix TV series The Magic Order. Despite mixed reviews, 2019's Pet Sematary remake was successful at the box office, grossing more than $100 million globally on a $21 million budget. I actually lost sight of that. I did not remember that actually being that big of a hit.
I didn't think it was, but I guess the time of year that it came out was the right time. It came out right around Halloween.
Yeah.
Which, if you're a horror film and you want to boost your numbers,
yeah.
I mean, let's be perfectly honest. It did fantastic. It Chapter 1 did fantastic. It was going to be a good movie and make money regardless.
Yeah.
But the fact that it came out mid-October helped.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what made the movie. The movie was great aside from that, but you release a horror film,
Yeah.
What was the movie? I just saw you and Hayden went and saw a horror movie.
Oh, yeah, Malignant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that doing in the box office? Coming out in early September.
Yeah.
Usually they wait a little bit longer, but...
Yeah, and we'd have to figure out that tomorrow is usually when the box office comes out for the opening weekend. But.
Right. My whole week is thrown off. My wife had a crazy work schedule, and she's working today when normally she has Saturdays off, so I keep thinking it's Sunday for some reason.
Yeah. Says that a much better turnaround than the critically derided 1989 adaptation, which generated $57 million globally on an $11 million budget. So, either way, though, I mean, basically getting close to $60 million on a $11 million budget's not bad either.
No.
So far, Pet Sematary looks like it's been a pretty good thing, as long as it's not Pet Sematary 2, which didn't do so hot. Greer is famous for starring in a string of 1970s action and blaxploitation films, including Foxy Brown, Coffee, The Big Birdcage, and Friday Foster. She received further acclaim for Jackie Brown, the Quentin Tarantino classic, in which Greer portrays a flight attendant who finds herself in a life-threatening crossroads. On TV front, Greer is also known for a Showtime series The L Word and ABC sitcom Bless This Mess. So that is more additions to what we have for Pet Sematary. We did actually see on a previous episode, we covered that Judd Crandall was cast as a young actor.
Yeah.
So we definitely know it is a backstory to everything before the Creeds show up.
You know, this article made me realize something. So Pet Sematary set in the 80s, I want to say, 90s. Late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there.
Somewhere in there.
In the novel, in the first book is the same way. I mean, the first movie is the same way. This one is the 2019. This is modern. So if we're going to look at Judd as a young man,
Yeah, maybe going back into
we're
the
gonna
60s
go back-
or 70s.
not even that far, dude. I mean, he's an old man, but dude, that's 2019. The 80s aren't 20 years. They're 40 years back. So looking at it, you know, if you want to take a 70-year-old man and make him 20, we're looking at the late 70s, maybe the early 80s, depending on where you want to put it.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting shift now that we're going to start seeing with some of these movies, is that before, especially remakes and stuff like that, is that, you know, before, if we were looking at a prequel of the original one, we're going to go back to, you know, Depression, which is where it was originally set.
Yeah.
But we're going to have that shift. It's not going to be the Depression anymore. We're going to have the high flying 70s or the metal 80s to contend with.
Well, there was a good recession in the 70s, so
This is true. There is a good recession in the 70s.
and the gas shortages and stuff. Yeah,
I don't know if you could call it good, though. I mean, is a recession ever good? Surprisingly, I was just curious about it because how I was blown away too that Pet Sematary did that well in the box office. Obviously, it grossed a lot overseas.
It must not have done well, critically, is what I'm guessing. Because I remember it not being. And maybe I'm just taking the critical in my mind and then applying that to the actual financial.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing $100 million, that's not bad on such a small budget.
Which country aside from America do you think was the highest? Like, what if you had to venture a guess? Which country do you think it grossed the most?
I'm guessing it didn't open in China because you only get so many of those a year. So studios are usually protect that for movies that will translate well, and I don't know that Pet Sematary would.
You are correct. It did not open in China.
I don't know. Maybe Russia, Germany.
Russia was good. Germany was good as well. UK was good. But top billing, France. France likes their horror movies, apparently. It opened on April 10th, 2019, and grossed $7.1 million in France. 2.4 on opening weekend. That's not too shabby for an overseas, you know.
Yeah.
For a American film in France.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that is France a big horror market?
I don't know. I've never paid that close attention to it.
Yeah.
And then let's see in the chat here, Travis mentions Malignant was fucking awesome. I totally agree. I don't think it's a movie for everyone. I think some people walk out of that movie not having liked it, but I absolutely fucking loved it.
More importantly, how did Hayden like it?
Hayden told me, he said it was the scariest movie he'd ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen some horror movies with Hayden. I've heard him talk about horror movies. That is high honor for a film to be.
Yeah, he was pretty off put by the whole thing. I think he enjoyed it, but he definitely, it was fun sitting next to him and watching him squeal, squirm, scream. Yeah, it was
the usual Hayden.
Yeah, pretty much. And then some talk about Jackie Brown. Definitely one of the more underrated Tarantino films. Then Robert says, Tad, can you mail me your hard copy? I don't know which movie we're talking about here, but it's probably good to assume that I do have a hard copy. I mean,
yeah, most likely, looking at the collection behind you there.
Yes. So let's go ahead and jump over here.
Oh, Robert S. says maybe Tarantino will direct Billy Summers. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not. Tarantino. I mean, he keeps like saying he's going to retire after every movie and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the dude's doing anymore. I mean, he just had the publishing for the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book that's doing pretty well and stuff. So I don't know what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then, Morphe says, let's see. If I recall, the publishers were hesitant to call it Jerusalem's Lot because of the Christian overtone. Yeah, there was definitely, that was made to be changed from Stephen King.
Yeah.
For sure. Like, he wanted to originally call it Jerusalem's Lot, which is the name of the town in the book. So let's go ahead and jump over to the next story here. And this one doesn't seem like it's going to sound like it applies to us, but it does. So Alec Kurtzman inks a mega new overall deal with CBS Studios. This is by Nelly Andriva from Deadline on August 1st, 2021. And then so this is the guy, he's probably plugged into most of the Star Trek shows that have been going on the new Paramount Plus and stuff. And it says the New York Times at a special bargain rates and so this, so that's the name of the story. The New York Times at special bargain rates is based on Stephen King's short story about a woman receiving calls from her dead husband. Jessica Mecklenburg is writing the adaptation. So the New York Times at special bargain rates is a horror short story by the American writer Stephen King, originally published in November 2008 in the issue of the magazine of fantasy. Oh my God, it keeps dragging. There we go. The magazine of fantasy and science fiction and collection is in King's 2008 collection Just After Sunset. So that is one of the deals it sounds like that Kurtzman's involved with. So that is a new adaptation that we have not had yet.
Where was this article from?
This is from Deadline.
Deadline. Okay.
So,
I don't think you said that.
Okay. So yes, let's go ahead and look at the old board here. So I did add that.
Okay.
It doesn't really say what this is going to be, whether it's going to be a movie or not. But since it didn't say series, I just assume it's a movie. We may have to move this one over to series if at some point we find out this is going to be it. But yeah, what do you think of that premise there? Woman receiving calls from her dead husband.
It's kind of like the
Mr. Harrington's
phone.
phone.
Mr. Harrington's phone. That's exactly where I thought.
I mean, this is an older story, but so it would be the other way. But yeah, for me, I've read Mr. Harrington's phone. I have not read this one. So
you able to take your picture off? You got a couple there that are.
What's that?
Your picture. Your camera. You're blocking the. What are those red ones? Are those the newest ones? In the films and development section.
I'm sorry. The thing freaking shifted on me here. Oh, you know what? Yeah, I see. Actually, no matter what, let me just I'll go to just the slides here and do that for a second. Yeah, I gotta readjust this for the cameras. I have yet to do that because I don't think we've actually done this board since we did cameras. So,
okay. So the New York Times at special bargain prices is the actual name
of the short story.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So so that's coming. That is in development now. Adding to our amazingly huge list of things here. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what comes of that. And since he's signing this deal with CBS Studios, I'm guessing it might be on not CBS All Access. What's it called now?
Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. That's the one.
I got you. So yeah, Chapelwaite, August 22nd. Yeah, you were right. It did just debut.
Yeah.
That one's on Epix. So we have Pet Sematary is going to be a TV series as well. Do we have? And we don't have the prequel for the Pet Sematary up there, do we?
Yeah, on the series there, Pet Sematary.
Is it a series? I thought it was going to be a film.
No, I think it's a series.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was the article that with the casting?
Let's see. The prequel to Paramount's. Okay, I guess it does actually say movie. So
it is a film.
Yeah, so
okay.
Remember when we originally found out about it, there was a lot that was nebulous. We didn't know hardly anything.
For sure.
So I think that it got put there, but we definitely need to move that one over.
Yeah.
But then the New York Times at special bargain prices might end up having to move as well.
Just do a swapsy.
Yeah, we might have to. But so then next up, we have a fun little article here. It isn't as much news, but it is fun.
Okay.
And it is From a Buick 8 will be Stephen King's most Lovecraftian movie. I guess.
Oh.
I mean, because the thing is, we've heard this was announced, but then it felt like we heard that it also kind of got pushed back. What with some of the police protests and stuff.
Right.
Like this was guy from The Mist. I'm blanking on his name.
Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane, I think, was involved in this. And I think he was interviewed, and he said, basically, with what's going on right now, this is probably backburnered. Like, we're probably not going to see this coming out anytime soon. I don't know if that's changing now because this is kind of an article talking again about that. Thomas Jane connected From a Buick 8 adaptation. It says the news that Stephen King's novel From a Buick 8 will soon gain a movie adaptation should be exciting not only for fans of the horror legend, but also for anyone hoping to see H.P. Lovecraft's horror writing brought to life on the screen in the future. Which, yeah, have you read From a Buick 8?
Yes.
Okay,
Once.
I have not.
I this is before Kindle. This is before audiobooks. This is I think this is one of the ones I read in high school post Salem's Lot.
Okay.
Pre Dark Tower.
Okay.
So burned through it, and then I haven't ever gone back to it. So,
Yeah.
in fact, I don't even think I've ever bought the Audible.
Yeah. So it says viewers can't seem to get enough of King's work, despite the author's career spanning decades. However, not every King adaptation has been a success. For every solid effort like Leesy's story, which proved King should script more of his adaptations, there is an expensive folly like the 2020's The Stand. King's writing is proving to be as difficult to adapt as ever, which makes it all the more interesting that one of the author's most Lovecraftian tales is now on its way to the big screen. Director Jim Mickle is helming the Thomas Jane starred From a Buick 8 adaptation, which should be good news for anyone wanting to see more Lovecraft. Released in 2002, From a Buick 8 is the second of King's novels to center around a killer car. However, unlike the earlier Christine, adapted into the classic 1980s horror by John Carpenter, King's second killer car story is a lot more existential than the story of a possessed automobile. Although the exact nature of the epitomous threat is never explained, the Buick is some form of interdimensional monstrosity that breaks the minds of his victims as much as their bodies, not unlike most of Lovecraftian's most famous monsters. So yeah, I mean, I think I've heard definitely the premise. I kind of know the small gist of this story, but I haven't read it, so I don't know all the knickknacks and details. But
Can you help me out here? Maybe it's just because I have never read any of his stuff. What exactly does Lovecraftian mean? Like, what am I supposed to be envisioning here?
think of the mist when you see that large creature.
Okay,
That would be Lovecraftian in terms of just these beasts of enormous size and scale, like almost cosmic horror.
okay, kind of like the Prim, the Outer Darkness.
Yeah.
Is it Outer Darkness in the Dark Tower, or just the darkness? Like, what is that? What's on the other side of the door?
Toadash.
Toadash darkness. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Okay, that's Lovecraftian.
Yeah, and
gotcha.
then Travis says it means humans are small and unimportant to the grand scheme of things. So yeah, like in my mind,
Got
certainly that shot of that giant one, which is one of the things that pushes them to the spot where they're going to kill themselves in the mist. I think that's Lovecraftian. Potentially, you can apply some of it to more of their stuff.
Okay.
In the mist, but to me, that big one is the one where it's just like that thing. Like we're less than a tick on a dog's ass to that thing. Like
It's like the end of Men in Black, where it zooms out and then you find out that our galaxy is a freaking marble for a freaking entity.
yeah,
Like that kind of ideas that we're nothing.
Yeah. So yeah, his stuff is all very stuff like that. So that's probably a good summation of it.
I've never read his stuff. I've always heard that it's very HP. It's HP Lovecraft.
Yeah.
It's very Lovecraftian, and I'm like, I have no idea what that even means.
And then Travis says, I wish Revival were still being made, which is true. That would have been one of Flanagan as well, because that one also gets a little bit Lovecraftian at the end there, with kind of a cosmic horror ending.
Travis says, yeah, the giant horrible thing is so epic. I want to kill myself too. Fuck it.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite moments of that movie too, when you see that thing, and then just the way that it's shot to like reveal it more and more, and you realize just how big it is. Mm-hmm. Because at that point it's just like, okay, the Earth's done.
We're done.
Because up to that point they're driving to try to find the end of the mist, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's reasonable for them to assume that there is maybe an edge, that it has a limit. But once you see that thing, like, okay, the Earth's gone.
Even if it's not, even if there is an end to the mist, that thing is still here.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I love that thing. It's one of my favorites.
It's a walking mountain, is what Travis says.
Yeah, indeed.
Robert says, I strongly believe someone will pick up Revival.
I hope so. It sounds like
Revival.
It sounds like the reason it got dropped though is because of cost, and that. Maybe at some point it'll get hit, but I'm assuming if it does, it might be someone like Netflix or Amazon, some of those companies that seem to be very willing to just throw money down the toilet. Not necessarily saying that it is down the toilet, because I appreciate it, but like The Irishman was like insanely fucking expensive. So like, you know, most of the studios, they're like, there's no way, even with Martin Scorsese, even with every fucking great actor he's ever worked with in this movie, like we can't justify like a 70 some odd $1 million budget.
Yeah.
You know, Netflix cut the check for it. So I don't mean in terms of flushing the money in terms of because it wasn't for good, because I appreciate the fuck that they're doing it, but I feel if we do ever see it, it's going to be from a Netflix or an Amazon versus like a Warner Brothers or Fox or someone.
I'd be careful lumping Warner Brothers into that now that they have HBO Max.
Yeah.
They are starting to create some original content for there, and with HBO tied to it, you get some pull with that. I mean,
Yeah.
it was one of the things that came up in the Band of Brothers podcast that we were talking about, how HBO basically just was like, Tom Hanks had the idea after Saving Private Ryan, and he was someone introduced him to the idea of Band of Brothers. He's like, wow, this is great. This will never get made, because like ABC was originally going to do it, but they're like, no, this is way too expensive. Like, we have to cut it, and Tom Hanks flat refused.
Yeah.
And then HBO's basically like, you want to do what? How much? Here's a blank check.
Yeah.
I don't picture many of those getting handled out in the show business.
Yeah.
But if someone's going to do it, I could see
but
HBO being
does
the
it,
one.
HBO's TV series, would never see them doing a movie though. Like HBO, like, and Warner Brothers, and like they did the whole Justice League thing, but like that was different. That had a big kind of a built-in thing. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to see it happen, because I've heard a lot of good things. I actually haven't read Revival yet. I know some of the stuff about it, but I haven't actually read it. But yes, like, and especially Flanagan being involved was the thing that it most titillated me. But yeah, I'm not holding my breath right now, just because it sounds like it was basically killed because it was too expensive.
I just wonder if HBO Max is going to affect Warner Brothers into making, there's the blockbusters that are going to go to the big screen, because we know that the stuff that being released at home, they just released the new one with is it Hugh Jackman or Russell Crowe? I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah.
Where it's you can
Hugh
relive it.
Jackman.
You can relive any moment in your past.
Yeah.
They're releasing all of those: Kong versus Godzilla, the Suicide Squad. All these ones.
But that's just COVID, though.
That's just released because of COVID. Next year we're going back to theaters.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if they're going to do two different types of films now, where Revival could be one of those ones made just for HBO Max. I could see them seeing the benefit of doing both.
They haven't done anything right now to make me think that they're going to do that. Like,
I just don't think
spending the money wise. Like,
I just don't think that they can right now with having their full slate with 2020 being released on HBO Max.
But I mean, in terms of in general, what they've made so far specifically for HBO Max, there's nothing they've done yet that has broke the bank. Like Netflix, I would say, again, because like the Irishman gives me the confidence to say Netflix is willing to just go, yeah, here's a fucking because like, dude, $70 million for a fucking gangster movie, like that's
expensive.
And I think it actually went over. I think it ended up going into like potentially triple figures in terms of hundreds of millions, like 100 and some odd million. So because again, think of the technology involved, all the actors, like there's a bunch of stuff going on. That movie's budget is like insane. Like that was like almost like comic book movie level budget,
right?
And so Netflix is the one I would say, and then Amazon, because right now they're just cutting checks like everything. They just paid the NFL $1 billion, and they're about to pay another $1.5 to $2 billion.
They're rumored to be trying to get a Sunday ticket, which is huge for it.
So they're because they got that
right.
Bezos money. So like I'm just saying, they and Netflix seem to be the ones that are just like throwing money out there.
Well,
everyone else, like I think there's too many old school studio people still in like Warner Brothers and stuff that are just
Hulu
like
with Disney.
Yeah, that are just like, we're still playing. Like they're in a different headspace. They're still in the headspace of like the way things used to be, and that's why Netflix is kind of kicking people's asses right now, because they're just fucking cutting checks and going, yeah, we'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, like, and nobody else is doing that except for Amazon. But Amazon's only done series for the most part at this point. But like The Boys, is insanely expensive.
They've done movies. They just had one come out with Chris Pratt.
That's
Amazon
true.
original movie.
Yeah.
And then what was the one with Michael B. Jordan earlier this year?
Yeah, but that one is one they just purchased that was supposed to be a theatrical movie. Yeah, but it was one of those ones that COVID killed it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that once we get past COVID, if we get past COVID, into next year.
Yeah, Reminiscence.
Reminiscence, yes, that's the one. But what I'm saying is that HBO has had success with these home releases, even if it is only a temporary release. Like Wonder Woman was temporary. All these ones are, Space Jam. All these ones are, on there for a month or so.
Yeah.
Maybe they're going to realize that, okay, well, maybe we have A, which are our theater releases, but we also are going to need B, which are these HBO Max exclusives.
Yeah,
I'd have to Netflix and Amazon.
I'd have to see them actually start spending money before I give them any hope, because I love what they're doing, but they're mostly just giving us stuff that they made thinking it was going to be 100% theatrical.
Yeah.
And then COVID made it to where like, okay, cool, we'll split everything. And like, I'm guessing, honestly, now that theaters are kind of open back up, I wonder if they would love to take that back a little bit. I wonder if like if they could just take Dune and the Matrix and not put them on HBO Max, but they've already kind of committed to doing that.
Yeah, they've already
So-
released the schedule for the ones that are
yeah.
going to. So
And they committed up front. They're like, everything in 2021 is going to be split release. Day and date, we're going to have it on HBO Max. But I'm kind of wondering if they wish they could take that back and maybe just do 6 months of it. Because, yeah, it's just...
yeah, because it launched, HBO Max launched mid-pandemic.
Yeah,
like it launched this year, right?
No, it launched. It was a few months into the pandemic last year.
Was it 2020 or
Because
was it
remember we
2021?
were talking they should have launched that a couple months. Like it was like a month after everyone got locked down.
Yeah, it was like April or May, and they should have done it in March.
Yeah, I was like, dude, why didn't you guys just launch it the day everything started getting locked
Yeah.
down? Like, I know you probably had it ready. Just launch that fucker because you got people that are like You got a captive audience right now. And it
No,
was,
not a captive audience. A captive.
but that was mostly selfish of me because I wanted it quicker.
Yes.
You know, I didn't,
There's the nice thing about it is that HBO Max does have a ton of stuff from previous that we've watched. Band of Brothers, The Pacific, Sopranos.
yeah, everything HBO.
Everything HBO is on there included. So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I still have HBO Max, and I'm probably also.
I love it, man.
Let's be perfectly honest. I'm probably never going to get rid of it because it has all the Batman stuff on it.
Dude,
and
I
like Batman.
It might be one of my favorites. I'm on there a lot. As it goes on, says this article goes on here and says, as proven by Guillermo del Toro's legendary struggle to get at the Mountain of Madness financed, Lovecraftian horror is often too abstract and conceptual to make to the big screen. Despite Rick and Morty's promises to depict Cthulhu, the most seriously mainstream horror shies away from the Lovecraftian style of cosmic dread, as the mind-breaking monsters of the author's work are inherently impossible to realize on screen, which, from the Stephen King side, we understand what that looks like.
Yes.
There's been some stuff in the Stephen King side where it's just like, dude, how the fuck do you do this, man?
Yeah.
And like, because I would even say like the reveal in it still hasn't been done great. You know, yes, the movie one was better than the series one, but that's like saying you can jump higher than a snail. Like,
It's not hard.
That doesn't say much, but I still even think the movie, like, I liked it, Chapter 2, but I wasn't overly fond of that
yeah.
final form stuff as much. That wasn't I still don't think that was great. I think some of the character stuff that was going on helped you kind of like ignore how silly it kind of looked, because it's one of those things like when you're on the page you can make certain things work and on the screen not so much. And maybe King isn't as bad with that as Lovecraft, but he certainly does have those times where it's just like, God, man, that's great on the page, but I don't know how it would work.
I don't know how it would work on the big
I know
screen.
there's a lot of people disagree with me. I still think Gunslinger's that way, man. So much of the Gunslinger is it's not on the screen stuff. It's internal monologue. It's thoughts. It's memories, and it's just I think it could, but I just don't know if it'd be as strong. Like Drawing of the Three, I'm like, that fucker, you could cut that right into a movie and it'd be perfect. But Gunslinger, I wonder, you know. And I know there's people that disagree with me, but. Then it goes on and says, this has changed somewhat in recent years with HBO's short-lived Lovecraft Country, directed by Richard Stanley. Let's see, short-lived Lovecraft Country. And then it says, director Richard Stanley recently hit The Color from Space, which was the Nicolas Cage movie. I actually just bought that recently, but I haven't watched it yet. And 2020's monster movie Underwater, proving it was possible to adapt the writer's work to screen. However, the unknowable status of Lovecraft's most famous monsters still makes them tricky to realize on celluloid, with each of these adaptations taking a different route to avoid focusing on depicting the evils of Lovecraft's too often and in too much dwelt upon detail. Then it says, like the earlier existent King villains, the Langoliers, also referenced in Rick and Morty, the Buick from a Buick 8 could potentially be a deeply silly if brought to screen, or if brought to life on screen, as it is described in the novel. Borrowing heavily from Lovecraft's techniques, King describes what the car contains sparingly and focuses more on how the sight of the contents impact the people who are unfortunate enough to cross it. As such, trying to provide a straightforward, monstrous depiction of the more conceptual sort of horror could be difficult, save that this adaptation has all the right collaborators lined up to pull off this feat. So, yeah, and again, even just reading that King is kind of sparsely explaining what's in the car, but he's more explaining it in the way of how it affects people. So it's like, yeah, how do you do that? You know, let's just go back to the sentient mist. You know, how would you do that on screen in a good way? Like
You don't. You don't. Sentient mist is the stupidest thing ever.
I'm so glad we covered that.
Fucking
like,
hell.
Ever since we did that, like, I've like thought about it at random, and it just makes me laugh. Like, I'm just like, dude, are you kidding me?
God, it's so stupid.
I was so close to watching that too when I first heard that it was there, because like in my head I'm like, oh my god, like this is going to be the whole Project Arrowhead stuff. Like this is going to be this could be some really cool fucking TV.
This could be some really cool world building.
Yeah, it could be some really
'Cause
cool stuff.
you get such a small part of the mist.
Yeah, you get
You know?
you just get a peek through the window, but it's like this might be opening a door that allows you to see a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But then, like in retrospect, I'm so glad I didn't dive in, dude. That would
Sentient mist. So fucking stupid.
have been terrible. Then it says, with its inexplicable interdimensional monsters that appear out of nowhere and conform to no earthly biology or scale, the Mist antagonists are King's most Lovecraftian monsters on film so far. Thomas Jane has starred in numerous Stephen King adaptations of varying quality, but the fact that the leading man proved able to ground the action of the potentially silly and surreal Mist provides that he is perfect for the fate of From Abio Gates' shook protagonist. So basically, now the author's kind of comparing like why the people involved might actually work out to kind of do this well on screen,
Because they've done it before.
Yeah.
Well, especially Thomas Jane has done it before.
Yeah, and again, it's cool because now they're referencing the Mist as Lovecraftian, which is cool because that's what I mentioned to you too. Is like, I think the Mist definitely fits in that. It says, sure, in some cases of the Mist, Mrs. Carmody is technically the movie's real threat, and the siege horror does feature many scenes that focus on religious hysteria inside as much as the Lovecraftian terrors outside. However, there is nonetheless no denying that Jane's everyman hero made the CG beasties of the Mist believable and scary, which bodes well from a Buick 8, and the actor also sold the tragic ending that could easily have tipped into the unintentionally comedy thanks to its overwhelming bleakness. Which is true. Like that whole end, that easily could have been laughable, but he played it well and it was done well. But then again, Darabont is takes some credit there as well.
Frank Darabont is still king.
King of King.
Flanagan is challenging for the throne.
Yeah.
Robert says, "Oh my God, how did I forget Sentient Mist? Thanks, Tad." And then lots of talking here about Evil Dead. Apparently, Evil Dead's getting a new movie.
Oh yeah. I think I maybe have heard that, but I don't know. The 2013 one I enjoyed. The Evil Dead 2013 version.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. 2013 was pretty good. Robert also says the Mist series was god awful, almost as bad as season 2 plus of the Dome.
Under the Dome, yeah.
Under the Dome. I didn't get past season 1.
Yeah, I don't even think I got like 5 episodes into season 1. I couldn't do it.
I remember the episode that I stopped on was when he drowned someone in a lake, and I'm just like, yeah, all right, I'm done with this. Like, this is weird. This is.
And I love that
it was
book
like some
too.
butterflies or something, and I'm just like,
and I love that book.
I love the book.
Yeah,
the book was fantastic. I'm just like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. And it says the failure of the Mist's television remake proves that the balance of the story is hard to nail, and Jane's presence in this second Lovecraftian King adaptation bodes well as a result. What?
It's not hard to nail. Just don't make the fucking Mist a fucking creature that thinks. That's what you fucked up on. It's not hard to do.
Yeah.
You make it about the monsters, not about the Mist. The Mist is a side effect of the project or from their dimension or something. It's not a fucking creature in and of itself.
Yeah.
If it was, then how the hell did anyone survive outside?
Yeah.
You discredit the original movie by making it sentient. That is like number one crime that you can do for a series or a sequel is if you discredit something from the original. If they made it so that Michael Myers could be killed in 2, like actually killed. Okay, we're done. On to something next, that would discredit the original, or something along those lines. Make it where Freddy can't kill you in his dream.
Yeah.
In the dreams in the second one. That's stupid. That discredits the first one.
Yeah. I love Robert says Under the Dome got much worse. Well, thank God that I didn't watch it then, and sorry that you had to.
You know what we should do? We should do some kind of a pledge drive or something like that where people vote. Either A, we have to watch Under the Dome, or B, we have to watch The Mist.
Oh God, no, I don't think so. I don't think I will. And it says, since From a Buick 8's plot centers around, as the title implies, a car of non-earthly origins whose trunk contains something that kills or at least maddens anyone who bears witness to it. It's a potentially silly premise. In the book, this turns into a surprisingly scary, slow burn horror precisely because of how little the novel depicts and how much is left to the imagination. In much the same way, the movie's attached director Jim Mickle's earlier crime thriller Cold in July cut away during the most gruesome scene to make an unseen snuff movie's impact much more effective than gory effects could have hoped, which I'm always of the fan of. Like, you know, I always call it the Jaws effect. Well, actually, not really, because I always think of the Jaws effect in my mind. The first thing I say that is like the whole idea of something, if it's so evil that like it's present even when you're not, like when it's off screen. It's like, you know, when you see the dude and he's just at dinner, you know, with his family, and like they have the guy over.
What's
like,
the shark doing?
Yeah, you're still thinking about the shark.
What's
know?
the shark doing?
Yeah, it's like,
who's he eating?
yeah. But at the same time, like, I also think, like, I always remember hearing, like, Scarface when it first debuted. Like, people lost their fucking minds because they thought that, like, you saw him chopping the dude up with the chainsaw in the bathroom. But it's like, when you actually watch the movie, you never see it actually come in contact with
It's
him.
always on Tony's face.
Yeah, it plays off people's faces and stuff. So it's like, but people fill in blanks. So everyone walked into the theater thinking they watched a guy completely fucking, you know, Leatherface that dude's arm off in the bathroom. And it's like, so to me, that always comes to my mind where it's like, sometimes when you leave something kind of out there, people fill in that blank, and that's when you get magic, because the head can always do better than the screen can do.
There's a horror movie that does that. I can't remember which one, where it's
I mean, even Psycho, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Psycho doesn't really
Psycho
show
has
much.
like, whether it's violence or nudity, you know, like, you know, there's like, you could fill in the blank and see her nude, or you could fill in the blank and see her stabbed multiple times, but on screen you don't see her stabbed and you do not see any actual nudity in the movie. But people walking out of the theater in 1960 were like, that was obscene, you know, like it was insanely gory and it was pornographic, and you know, it's like, no, it's it wasn't.
There's a specific horror movie, I can't remember which one it is that I'm thinking of, where it's one of the very first kills. The person goes to like run out the front door, they get tripped, and then they get dragged back into the house, and you literally never see them again. Yeah. And so you just fill in your mind's eye of what happened to her, you know, and everything like that, of what went on there. Yeah. And everything, because later on, I think you just find out that she's dead. You know, like you see like her like her head or something like that. Is it House of a Thousand Corpses? It might be.
It's been a long time since I watched that.
Yeah,
one.
It might be. It's been a long time since I've seen that, but it does that where the paradigm with Hollywood has shifted too far to the other way, where it's, okay, we got to show the graphic nature. We got to show I think of like The Hills Have Eyes, how brutal it was the first time we watched that remake. Like, God, like they're showing like these guys like fighting with barbed wire and hacking limbs off and eating birds and shit like that. Like, normally you cut away and you don't show it and you leave it up to the viewer's imagination, like you said.
Even King does that. Think about Flag with Bobby Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like, doesn't King give us one sentence of, like, there are worse things than being... Because Bobby Tyler's, like, worried about whatever. It's like, there were worse things. Yeah. There was being eaten. Yeah. It's like, that's all we get.
That's all we get.
But it's like,
nothing
still,
else.
In your head, you fill in the blanks of what that looked like.
See, now look at the difference between that and the 2020 series. Yeah. We get to see what he does. Yeah. If they'd cut away when he realizes he's in the elevator, such a better scene.
And then even let Flag come out of the elevator covered in blood. And then
you don't see the elevator. Yeah. Just see him come out. The doors open. You see it from like a side shot.
Yeah, door open. He comes out covered in blood.
Says something about, from like the side.
Says something about the, like, you know, the
clean up on aisle 4.
Yeah, something like that would have been horrifying. You know, so it definitely works. But then it says Black Mirror guest star Wyatt Russell, which is the fake Captain America, is chilling as the villain of Cold in July. But the sight of the usually genial star beating a woman to death could easily have proven unconvincing and gratuitous. Instead, Mickle opted to cut away after establishing the terribly inevitability of the victim's fate, leaving the worst moment to the viewer's imagination while still providing enough horror for all of the most hardened audience to be disturbed. It is a difficult balance to capture, and one that any prospective Lovecraftian horror needs to get right, proving that the movie's version of Stephen King's Lovecraft-inspired From a Buick is in safe hands. So it sounds like the director involved has done some of that.
Has done that before. Interesting.
So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a cool look at, it sounds like it's back on, and this sounds like maybe written for more of a Lovecraft fan, but kind of cool to see. That I'm sure King loves the comparison. I know Lovecraft was one of King's favorite as a child. Like he loved reading Lovecraft, so probably one of his inspirations to a point. Next up, we got some bad news.
No.
The Shining offshoot series Overlook from Bad Robot not going forward to HBO Max. Closing in on a new home, which we've heard that before. So this is by Nelly Andreeva from Deadline on August 4th, 2021. HBO Max has opted not to proceed with the Overlook, the drama project from J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot Productions, inspired by Stephen King's The Shining. The company and studio Warner Brothers Television are shopping the show, which is expected to land at a new home soon. And here we are over a month later and still nothing. So I wonder if it's his Dark Tower like and nobody's going to pick it up. With Netflix likely a destination, I hear. So that's what Nelly is saying here. But again, I have not heard anything, so I don't know. I think it's kind of like Dark Tower, where it's just like, it's really hard to shop something that gets turned down, man, because then it has a stink on it. Other studios are just like, unless it's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine where it has a huge following, like, it's really hard because other studios look at it and go, well, it's kind of like sports. One team cuts a guy. Other teams are going to be kind of apprehensive. Like, wait a minute, why do they cut him? Do we really want to bring him in? Like, I don't know. Like, there's something maybe we don't know. So whatever. And I think sometimes that happens in Hollywood and stuff too, where it's just I don't know.
Well, it's interesting because there's also like the thing you use the analogy with, like the sports figure, is interesting because it's like that with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's an established years of Brooklyn being
and
good
fans and stuff,
everything like that. So if you have a show that or a player that has been producing well, then okay, then it's a low risk, high reward investment. The problem with like Overlook and the Dark Tower is that if you look at one for Overlook, yes, but for the Dark Tower, you're coming off of, and you've brought this point up several times, you're coming off of pretty poor film. I don't mean poor film quality. I know some people think that. I still think it's a halfway decent film, if not more than halfway. But it performed poorly.
Didn't do box office numbers.
Yes, performed poorly is what I mean.
Dr. Sleep didn't well either financially. So.
Exactly, and so that's where you see like kind of like the comparison there for me is that this is someone who was picked up after not performing with his last team. Is he going to turn it around? Well, that's a risk. You're going to take a risk there. And for movies and series and stuff, like you said, there's a lot of executives out there still that are old school. Why would they take a risk on this when they could go make another Batman movie?
Or something that they've been championing.
Yeah.
They've got something that is their baby.
Didn't HBO Max just change their leadership too?
I don't remember. Maybe.
No? Oh, okay.
And then Robert talking about the whole, maybe unseen horrors as the opening Jaws scene. Yeah, perfect example. That's why I said Jaws comes to my mind when I think of that. Is like it's a textbook example. You hardly ever see the shark in that movie, but it's still fucking terrifying. Here we are, how many years later now, and there's still people that won't go in the ocean because of Jaws.
Yeah.
And the one that gets me is kids like your daughter, that age or even younger, they'll be in a pool and you hear someone hum the Jaws theme and they'll scream and say shark. How the fuck do those kids know that? They haven't seen Jaws. They probably haven't even seen a reference to Jaws. Like I am like,
you got to realize it is one of the most, I don't want to say spoofed. Spoofed gives it like making fun of, but spoofed for lack of a better word, things out there. I mean, like, shows do it a lot.
Yeah,
it is. It's right up there with "No, I Am Your Father" for most like, dun.
Yeah,
dun. Like it.
I mean, the opening of Airplane, for instance.
Oh yeah.
And then Robert says the second movie my mom took me to.
Thank you. Sorry, Alan said in the chat, trope. Exactly. It's not spoofing. It's paying homage. It's doing a trope. Yeah.
So Robert says the second movie my mom took me to, Star Wars was first, and The Exorcist was in there too. I was 10. Thanks, Mom. And I hope you're like being genuine there, because I think that's good. Every 10-year-old should see Jaws and the Exorcist. That's wonderful.
So I finished Band of Brothers last night. Episode 9, which we know is the one where it shows the work camp, the concentration camp that the Easy Company comes up on. and then episode 10 has some discussions about stuff like that a little bit. The podcast that about Band of Brothers, he's like, yeah, I sat down with my 10-year-old son and watched it this year, and I was like, Jesus Christ, 10? And then I literally the first thing that popped into my head after I had that thought was, well, if it was 10, they probably would have watched it at 6.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, it's historic and everything, but still.
Yeah, it's history.
God damn, that's
Nothing wrong with that.
that's freaking that's some horrific shit to show a child.
Child's play at age 5, man. That's all I'm saying. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Debatable. I mean, you turned out horrible, so
I turned out wonderful.
no. Hashtag Ted is terrible exists for a reason.
Okay, so then
Oh, hey, Mark.
Then it goes on and says, Overlook was part of the inaugural Bad Robot slate at HBO Max under the company's mega 2019 deal with Warner Media, which was commissioned by the previous regime at the streamer. So, yes.
There it is. Okay, I was right.
It says, written by Dustin Thomason, and Scott Brown, horror thriller Overlook, inspired by and featuring iconic characters from King's The Shining, explores the terrifying and untold stories of the most famous haunted hotel in American fiction, which that's an interesting statement. The most famous haunted hotel in American fiction, and that probably is right. The Overlook.
No, I can't name another haunted hotel off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean
1408 maybe, but that's just King anyway.
I would even put the Overlook up against haunted houses too, honestly. Like, I know hotel because that's whatever, you know.
If you're gonna go,
I'm not saying it's gonna win it, but I'm saying I would throw it in there because I think I think it could take on the challenge at least of fighting against some of these other haunted houses.
If you're gonna like genuine haunted house, like
film, television, you know.
I think the only one that's gonna come close to it, and probably I would say it would still beat it, Amityville Horror, the Amityville.
Yeah,
House.
yeah.
That one's had 2 movies made about it.
Did you know that freaking... No, more than that. There's like 6 or 8 movies.
Really? Is there really that many?
There's a ton, dude. Yeah. And I think they still making them. I think there's been some direct-to-video ones even in the last decade.
Really?
Yeah, so...
But yeah, that one I think is going to be the one that... But that's
the ultimate
that's
crime.
Real world.
The ultimate crime is the people at one point that moved into that house covered the eye windows. That's a fucking crime. That's a goddamn shame.
They should be put in prison for
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I hope the house comes back to being haunted again, just to torment those people.
Instead of yelling, "Get out!" It's "You blinded me, my eyes."
Hey, I don't want to have some ghost throwing shit around that can't see. That's all I'm saying.
It's bad enough that they throw shit, but them not being able to see. What about my goldfish?
Oh, hi, Mark. I think Peter mentioned it earlier. I missed it. I was reading the story here. It says, let's see. Okay, and then it says, I hear the HBO Max brass liked the project, but felt that it was not a fit for them at this time. Bad Robot has an expansive existing slate at HBO/HBO Max with current series like Westworld on HBO, an upcoming series Demi-Monde on HBO, and The Duster and Subject to Change at HBO Max. The company just sold Fledgling to HBO for development, so it sounds like they got a lot going. Overlook marks the 4th collaboration with Bad Robot and King and Warner Brothers TV on the project, set in the Stephen King literary universe. Following the psychological horror series Castle Rock, the limited series 11/22/63 on Hulu, and the current limited series Lazy Story on Apple TV+. I had no idea that Bad Robot was involved in all of those. I knew they were involved in 11/22/63. I guess I knew about Castle Rock, but I think I've lost sight of it. I had no idea they were involved in Lazy Story.
I didn't either.
So that's interesting. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump to the next one here. And this one is David Lowery pitched himself on the adaptation of Stephen King's The Jaunt. And this is David Lowery, just to throw it out there, is the one that most recently released the movie Green Knight, The Green Knight.
Oh, okay.
Which I fucking highly recommend. I was talking to Hayden about it last night. I went and saw it. It's like Arthurian, but like, I don't know, I'm not really into like the Arthurian stuff. I've never delved that deep into it. It's not like Arthur or Guinevere. It's not like the big ones, but he's one of the multiple people involved. But it's a pretty interesting movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. When it comes out, I'm going to buy it, and I'll have to let you borrow it and watch it.
Sounds good.
It's something else. But yeah, so it sounds like this is maybe like the Duffer Brothers that pitched themselves for It. Sounds like the same kind of thing. At some point, he pitched himself for King, and now that he's done something that was rather successful, it's being brought up that he wanted to do some King earlier on. This is by Scott Wampler from Fangoria on August 11th, 2021. Also, I want to pause real quick and say about Flanagan. I was listening to some some of the King cast, which Scott Wampler is part of, as a matter of fact. And I got to one of the Flanagan episodes, and he mentioned, do you know the Oculus, the movie he did, Oculus? Like the Haunted Mirror was... it was one of his first movies. He did it as a short, then he did it, and that was that's the thing that broke him out into like being kind of a one to actually get jobs.
Okay.
So I actually went and saw it back in the day, not realizing what he would become. It was good, but what he said is he actually Oculus the short that eventually he got money to make a full feature out of it. But the short, he said, because he was originally trying to get just blanking 1408. He was trying to get 1408 as a dollar baby. And then he ended up not getting it. Somebody else had got it before him. And so he made Oculus as kind of a way of like, he used 1408 as kind of an inspiration to make Oculus. So as much as he's done King, I'm going to give him some credit for Oculus too. Because sounds like 1408 was basically his way of going, fuck, I can't make 1408. I'm going to do my own version of it.
There you go.
So sounds like the same kind of deal here, though. Someone pitching themselves for King and not getting it, and then later becoming legendary here.
Robert says in the chat, got to check out the jaunt on your recommendation, and then a smiley emoji. Can't let Peter go emoji free. Thanks,
Yeah.
smiley emoji.
So the jaunt, so I've actually heard a lot of conversation about the jaunt recently. It sounds like a lot of filmmakers have been wanting to get involved in this, and I know that it is actually in development now, so it's coming, but I would definitely read it. It's a very, very good story. It says, today's episode of the Kingcast, currently available everywhere via Fangoria Podcast Network, featuring the Green Knight director David Lowery, discussing one of Stephen King's as of yet unadapted, lesser discussed, and best recent novels, 2011's Revival, which is something like King's modern take on the classic Frankenstein story with a twist. Which that's interesting. It's the first time I've heard it referenced to Frankenstein instead of Lovecraft. The episode's jam-packed with a discussion about the title for the King's constant listeners, but also contains a number of bombshell revelations along the way. The fact that Lowry once auditioned to play the role of Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest. So that's interesting. For instance, along with the detailed segment exploring Mike Flanagan's unproduced Revival screenplay. So that's also interesting. I would love to read that.
Who was saying they were interested in the Revival? Maybe go listen to this podcast.
Yeah, the Kingcast, the one with David Lowery. And he says, for our money, though, the biggest bombshell occurs midway through the episode when Lowery reveals that he once personally pitched himself to Stephen King as the guy to write and direct an adaptation of The Jaunt. Then in parentheses, it says one of the best, most beloved short stories of King's Skeleton Crew. For those who have not had the pleasure of reading that one, here's the gist. A family in the distant future is about to take their very first family vacation to Mars, a trip made possible due to the advent of teleportation technology, the so-called jaunt of the title. In an effort to calm his son's fears about the process, the father explains how the tech was first discovered and how it was ultimately applied, and how safe it has proven to be over X number of years. This all leads to a sudden and horrifying twist at the end that's gruesome enough to still be shouted out by King fans as one of their author's best finales. So yes, I highly, highly recommend reading it. So
You read it?
Oh yeah. I did Skeleton Crew in the last year. So there, I think you need to dabble into the short stories pretty soon. There's some good stuff out there, man. It says, so what drew him to the jaunt, says Lowery, and this is a quote, from the moment I read it, I think that it's always been my favorite King short story. It's one of the most rewarded rereading again and again over the years, and it never fails to just chill me to the core. There's just so much that you don't know at the end of the jaunt, and that makes it terrifying. And it says, and here's how the pitch went down, and this is all quoting from him. It says, I just checked in probably once every year to see if the rights become available, and they'd never been available until at one point, probably just after the shooting of The Green Knight. I checked in and they had just become available, and I was very quickly wrote a letter to King's agent, and then had it passed on to him, and about how I would love to do it, and what I would do with it, and what my take on it would be with a 1 or 2 page treatment. It was received favorably, but one downside was that I was about to go make another film, and I had to admit that I wasn't going to be able to turn my attention to the jaunt or give the attention that it deserved for at least another 18 months, and because of that, it slipped away, and I now know that that it's in development somewhere with someone else, but I also hope that one day I'll get a return to that one. So yes. This says, this is true. Earlier this year, we learned that The Jaunt was being developed as a TV series, which is interesting, by Fear the Walking Dead's David Erickson for MRC Television. There's been no further news on the adaptation since the news arrived, but until shooting starts or the project officially fails to materialize, the Jaunt ball remains in MRC's court. So, that should be fun. Okay, and then next up we got new Pet Cemetery movie at Paramount. Adds Samantha Mathis and Henry Thomas.
No.
Which Henry Thomas is, of course, one that we're all very familiar with, whether it's Elliot from E.T. or whether it's the dad from Haunting of Hill House, which I've been thinking about a lot recently. I think I need to rewatch that. It's getting to spooky season, and that is one of my absolute favorite horror things in the last
It's good.
while. It is so fucking good.
It's good.
It is so good. This is by Anthony D. Alessandro from Deadline on August 16, 2021. This is exclusive. Samantha Mathis and Henry Thomas have joined Paramount Pictures Players' follow-up adaptation of Stephen King's bestseller Pet Sematary at Paramount Players. The duo joins previously announced cast members Jackson White, Forrest Goodluck, Jack Mulhorn, Natalie Aylin Lind, Isabel Starr LeBlanc, and Pam Grier. Production began last week. The Lindsay Beer directed movie will debut exclusively on Paramount Plus. So not only this casting, but it is now in production.
All
so
right.
that's good to know, or it was a month ago. So I'm sure it still is then. Mathis was Dr. Alice Calvert in Under the Dome, so she has some Stephen King work here. And these are just not from the article; these are just my own notes, as well as Susan Norton in the 2004 Salem's Lot miniseries.
Oh.
So she's had some King experience. Henry Thomas is, of course, the bartender in Doctor Sleep, which is, of course, Jack Torrance. But he's only credited as the bartender, so I wanted to make it credit there.
Gotcha.
That, because there is that ambiguity of, is that really Jack, same as like Grady, right? Was that really Grady, or is that just someone taking Grady's form?
Yeah.
Because he obviously wasn't jibing with what Jack was saying. Yeah, family man Grady. As well as Elliot and E.T. in virtually every Flanagan movie or show, which is true.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I'm glad to see.
Speaking of Flanagan, he's the one that did Haunting of Hill House, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. As well as Gerald's Game and Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is it for the news for what we have now. Like I said, in beginning of October, Roundtable 111, we'll catch up on everything news-wise, because this brings us up to basically August 6th, so mid-August. So everything from mid-August on we haven't covered yet. There is some news to cover, I'm sure, but we will be covering that in the future because we have some list to talk.
We got business.
Yeah, we got a list to talk about here. So let me go ahead and pull it up here. Let me see. I'll just pull up the old Dark Tower Palaver here, and because I now have the thing on here as well for open challenges, so you can click on that and you will see the rules and everything that we threw out for this. So the one that we have now is Top 10 King Kids. And I did change the date to say today, so to be covered on September 11th, 2021. This is the one This is one where you list your top 10 favorite kids in the King verse. We drew a line at the age of 15. We figured the older than that, they are in high school, which is technically a kid, but they have more freedoms and they can feel closer to adults at times. I think to myself like Arnie or Carrie. Yes, technically they're children, but those don't feel like kids to me. Like that's different. Like that's a different kind of kid. The other rule is if we see the kid as an adult, Danny Torrance, for example, don't let their adult side influence your selection. This is just the characters as kids 15 and under. So, yeah. This is that is a challenge that we threw out a while ago now. It has been a while. Like you mentioned, I think we were going to cover this in August, and then things just kept happening. So, yeah. So I will warn you up front. I ran out of time, so this is all prepped, but I don't have any stats. The stats will come next episode. I'll get those all calculated up, but I ran out of time to get. I have like all the info, but I haven't compiled it and created charts and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be fun still just to go through this. And also that means that if you want to email in, you won't be part of this episode, but if you want to email in your answers, I'll make sure to calculate those up and
still be part of the stats.
Be part of the stats for it. So that is the rules. So let's go ahead and jump on over into it. As I said, the Palaver, or I guess I didn't say, but we're going to move into the Palaver section, which is where we're going to be doing this, which is always a fun little section here with the Palaver. So let's go ahead and first of all, thoughts before we even dive in. Any thoughts? I'll give one and just say this is fucking hard.
It is,
which is insane to think about. Can you find me another author that if you threw this challenge out that it wouldn't be easier to do? Like that, I guess it just shows King, because I feel like if you were just like, hey, give me top 10 kids from, unless they're like a children's author that only did kids stuff, like, but like generally speaking, like even J.K. Rowling, would it be hard to do top 10 for her? I feel like there's like main characters and stuff. I feel like it would kind of just fill itself in.
there's a lot of. It's a school, dude. like every single one of the books takes place at Hogwarts, the school for witches and wizards to learn. Literally, they're ages 11 to 17, 18. So yeah, it'd be pretty hard. I mean, you have three main characters, but then one of those main characters has 5 or 6 siblings. So yeah, it would be pretty tough to narrow down top 10 kids that for the Harry Potter universe.
I feel like with most authors, if you were to have this challenge, you'd have a hard time filling in a 10 list. But with this one, for me, I had a hard time because what I did was I went through and I just basically did kind of like, I don't want to say it was a vomit list, because a vomit list would be like I threw every fucking name. No, I was actually trying to control myself a bit. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, okay, there are certain ones where I hit them. I'm just like, no, I love them, but there's no way they're going to be anywhere close to the list. So let's just keep ones that are actually contenders. I'm like, that'd be cool. Then I can keep it somewhat compact and stuff. I ended up with 16. So then I had to remove 6 of them to get down to 10. And I will say, as it got closer, like I think it was around 12, dude, it was fucking hard. In fact, I even cheated a little bit. We'll get to that.
Oh no.
No, in terms of not like adding some, but like in terms of how do I cut them, some of them were creative.
You're cheating.
In fact, you can get some thoughts, but we'll hit, because there's a couple people gave some honorable mentions, and I kept all 6 of mine just to kind of give an idea of who I left off my list.
I have one honorable mention. I didn't send it to you, but I have one.
Okay.
So I have that. I'll throw it out.
Do you have any other thoughts overall for the list? Like,
but yeah, so I mean, like the big
was
thing,
it challenging for you?
The big thing with King is that, goddamn, it is a fucking
and it's a problem.
Curveball.
It's a problem
when
because
it comes to making this list, because
if we took it off, this would be a hell of a lot easier.
This would be a hell of a lot easier. I don't know if I could fill 10.
I still think I could fill 10, but I don't think it'd be easier. I'd be like, okay, cool, but that ruins things a lot, because
that makes it that's one of the only thought I had is that, damn, 7 losers plus any other kid characters you want to add to it.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Henry Bowers or Belch or any of those, then shit, But yeah, let me know where you want to go. Do we want to do honorable mentions?
Yeah,
we
we'll do honorable mentions. So what do you got for honorable mentions?
Danny Torrance.
Danny.
Okay,
so yeah, Danny is actually one for me. He didn't even make my initial list, because I knew, because like I said, I mentioned in the rules just a second ago, I said don't let the adult stuff go in. And I love Danny, but I don't feel I connect with him in the book until Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep's where I really fell in love with Danny. Or Dan, I guess, right? And so in retrospect, then going back, I have a more of a feeling for Danny when I go and reread it after Dr. Sleep. But I've never had the same connection to Dan, and I just knew that Danny wouldn't fall in there for me. So yeah, I didn't even put him on my list at 16. He's kind of one of those ones where I would have said, like, I love him, I have nothing against him, but I know that he's not going to be able to fight in this list. He'll get knocked out quickly, so I'm just not going to put him on there.
Yeah,
but
him and Eddie Kasparek were the two that I really was like debating when I was doing 8, 9, and 10. I'm like, who's going to be these last couple that are going to be on my list? And Eddie came off first. No, he's not going to make my list. And then Danny, same thing.
Yeah.
I can't, it's hard for me to separate, and, maybe it's my problem, not, Danny's problem, but I love Dan from Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore him. Great character, great written, but Danny,
yeah.
I can't look back on one instance from the book, The Shining, and be like, yeah, he's a pretty cool kid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and there's nothing against him. Like, I don't dislike him or anything, but yeah.
Still a great character. It's just, there are better kids out there is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let me just pause real quick to say, Alan mentioned the chat here, says, I know we're in the news now, but since it's 9/11, we have to discuss the fate of Black 13. It says, yeah, just pause there, because that's true.
It is the 20th anniversary of 9/11, yeah.
Does have it to where Black 13 is left under the World Trade Center. So Black 13 would have either been destroyed.
And it was paid for
years.
2023 or something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah, whether it's the end of Black 13 or, I don't know.
Did you ever wonder, like, did Black 13 pull it? Like, make it be like we should target the U.S. and then it's like, well, what about the Empire State Building? What about this? No,
It attracted them.
it's like like
It attracts the evil,
It
basically.
attracted the evil to it. That that Jake and Father Callahan accidentally caused it.
Yeah.
There's a thought in my head that I was like, ooh, that's dark. I'm not going there.
Yeah. And then Alan says it's twisted that's where my mind goes, but or after the reverence, of course. Yeah, and of course, I mean, that's just in the realm of Stephen King. Of course, there's a whole different podcast to be had to talk about it historically and stuff. But yeah, for that, I mean, it does have a lot of coverage in Stephen King. I mean, we see the True Knot talking about it. There's a door in one of the Dark Tower areas or there's graffiti on the wall.
It's book 7. No, it's a door where you can go to.
Well, there's a graffiti on the wall saying, "Hey, make sure you check out September 11th in New York City," or something.
I thought there was a door where it's like go to the Ford Theater, go to New York, September 11th, 2001.
I remember it being a graffiti where it's just
Was it?
because there's like a hall of doors where it's like there's a bunch of different doors and places to go, and there was just a graffiti on the wall is how I remember it that basically says, "Hey, don't miss out on September 11th in New York City," or something.
Yeah,
So,
2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's book 7. That's right after he was writing that. Right, the year or two after that happened.
Yeah. So let me I'll just go ahead and hit everyone else's because everyone else just there's only 2 other people that had honorable mentions and they only had 1. So we have 4 people that responded in time to get on the list here for the show. So Mike from Pennsylvania, his honorable mention, he says Randall Flagg because he's a kid at heart. And he says "Muahahaha," and he spelled it that way too. So I'm not even like spinning it to say that's an evil laugh. If you put an M in there, that's
an
like,
evil laugh.
You're like, I hear Bowser when I see that. Like, and then Joe, equally, same book as a matter of fact. He said wild card. He calls it a wild card instead of an honorable mention. But he says Tom Cullen. He says, I cry your pardon to bend the rules since Tom is an adult, but technically he's got the brain of a 3rd grader or thereabouts. So I'm throwing him in as a wild card. The way King writes Tom Cullen is right up there with the best of the other kids. Which I could see, yeah. I mean, technically, yes. He doesn't put him in his actual list. So, but as a wild card, I get where you're coming from there. Because yeah, I mean, Tom is like he is.
Sure.
He's got this. I mean, Leo has more, mental acuity than, and Leo's in that age. So, but those are the 2 wild cards there for me. Here's the 6 that I had that did not make my list. And I'll just count it down from the bottom up because what I did is because what I do is I put them on a spreadsheet and I make my list and then I start to like move up the ones that I want. So like the ones at the top though are ones that I like had up there and then I moved down. So those are like the hardest ones or the ones higher up my list. So lowest on the list I knew wouldn't make the list, but I put him on there because I was kind of hoping Jerome Robinson.
Yeah.
From Mr. Mercedes. He probably gets too old as you get into the 2nd and 3rd book, but I loved him in the first book.
He's too old in the first book.
No, I Googled.
He's in high school in the first book.
I Googled it and it said that it was like 14 is what.
He was in high school getting ready to go off to college in the first book.
Google told me 14.
Oh,
so
he was getting ready to go to college in the first book and everything. So,
I mean,
he can drive. Doesn't he drive to the concert?
He does in the show, but the show I thought the show aged him up a bit.
No, I haven't even watched the show past the first season, but I'm pretty sure he drives to the concert because his younger sister is in junior high, just a year or 2 younger than him. He's in high school.
Oh, all right.
I think he's too old. So he didn't make your list.
I wasn't sure, but I Googled it and it came up as 14 is what Google told me. So next up, Luke Ellis. From the Institute. I like Luke a lot. So he made my initial list, but didn't make the ultimate cut. Or I guess never mind. I did lie because my next one is Danny. So I did put Danny on here.
Oh, you did?
Danny
Okay.
Torrance, but he was a quick cut, as it were. Another one I love, Leo Rockway, made my list. Leo, he's just awesome. Obviously goes through a lot of trauma, but he has his place in it all. Kind of has some psychic abilities, saves some people's days. I don't know. I love his connection to Mother Abigail and stuff. And obviously he goes through a lot. Now the last 2 here are the ones where I'll say I kind of cheated. So first one, Jack Sawyer. So here's where the cheat is, because I'm kind of in that book right now. I did put a pause on it because I needed some nonfiction in my head. So every once in a while that happens, so I'll just pause or whatever. But I got him to a religious school, he and Wolf are at a religious school is where I stopped. Just knew like they're barely there. They're barely getting the hang of things and stuff. So I don't know where that's going to play out. I will say with where I've read so far, he probably would be a lot harder. But the reason I cut him, because I'm like, I haven't finished the book yet, so I could easily just write this off as, I don't know him well enough. But I will say I'm kind of cheating with that, because I do know him well enough to know that he would easily make my list. But
Yeah.
I kind of cheated and went, I haven't finished the book, so he doesn't count, so I'll take him off the list.
Oh, so not cheating. You did the right thing.
I call it cheating just because, like, legit, he probably would make my... Yeah, if it weren't so hard, if King didn't write kids so well, he easily would have been on this list for me. Like, but King has too many good ones. And the other one is Gordy LaChance from The Body.
Okay.
So the reason I cut him is because I haven't read that since high school, and I haven't watched the movie in maybe just about as long. So it just comes down to probably if I had read this recently, this would have been a hell of a lot harder. But I was able to cut it because I go... It's kind of distant in my memory, so it's a little bit easier to cut him. But I know that I went and read this, and that like in the next week, and if I went and read The Body, or the next 2 weeks, then when we came back next time, I'd be like pulling my hair out, going, "Dude, how the fuck can I leave him off?" You know, because he's a great character, both in the short story or the novella, I'm sorry, and the movie. He's just a great fucking character.
And I've only seen the movie once, and I've never read the novella, so
okay,
that's why he doesn't make my list. But yeah.
Yeah, so that's my
honorable
mentions. And like I said, Jack and Gordy were the two. Those are hard. Those were really, really hard fucking cuts, man. Like the rest of them were a little bit easier. I kind of accepted. Cool, I got to get rid of 6. There was a little bit of struggle, but those last 2, man, like I was like, God, can I change this to top 12 somehow? Because it was rough, man. Like I said, I'm not even as far into the Talisman. Whereas like you finished it and stuff, but I do already know that I love him, man. He's a great character. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So we're gonna start off here, of course, with number 10, and we'll do like we did last time with our King novels that we covered. Or wait, was it novels? Yeah, we did. It was novels that we covered last time. So what we're gonna do, top 10, 10 to 1 countdown. What we'll do is me and you, we'll have a slide for us. We can talk about it, and then we'll have the slide for the extended quartet, the 4 people that emailed in, and we'll just do each one 10, 10, 9, 9, on and on. So let's go ahead and dive into it here. Number 10, for me, it is Peter Saubers from Finders Keepers, and for you, it is Mike Hanlon from It. So you got your first loser on the list here.
Your first loser sounds so bad, but it's right.
but it's true. Any reactions? Do you? For me, I was at. I don't know. Mike never connects with me as much, so I'm not like surprised because I don't like put my experiences onto you, but like certainly didn't even make my list because it's just like there's so many of the good kids. I had to like figure out where to cut the line and like who I'm gonna like let on my list and who not. And Mike just doesn't. Like I feel for him, but like I don't have the same connection with him as I do some of the others. We don't get him until later in the story. He doesn't get into the club until later. But like I don't know. I think we get more of him almost as an adult, but we do get a lot from him as a kid, certainly. But I think maybe that's why I don't connect with him because he's just not there early. By the time he gets there, it's
the thing for me is that he's the final piece.
Yeah,
you know, he's the dessert, if you will. And everything like that. Plus, one of my favorite all-time scenes is in the It book is the smoking him and Richie go to Long Ago.
Yeah,
I forget how much I love it, but every single time I freaking love that part where him and Richie go and they see it come.
Yeah,
and then there's just different things with him that asking for help from the losers when he's being chased. I love his being able to stand up to Henry, more so than some of the other kids. The other kids, I feel like, Bill, I feel could have taken Henry any day of the week.
Yeah.
Just like he does in the rock fight. I feel like if he actually would have, he could have stopped Henry from doing a lot.
Yeah.
But Mike, he just holds a special place for me because I love the stuff with his dad too.
Yeah.
I love, and I'm not talking about adult Mike. I'm talking kid
No,
Mike.
no. We get more with him and his parents than virtually anyone. I mean,
Yeah.
you get a little bit of a look with Bill and his family, but it's
A little
almost to
bit with
show. It's almost to show the depression.
dysfunctional.
Like there's like maybe a scene or two with Richie's family. Like
Same-
I mean,
it's the same. It's the
Beverly,
same with,
but that doesn't
no.
count.
The most we get aside from Mike is Eddie Kasprak.
Or yeah,
because
yeah.
of his mom.
Because his mom defines him. Yes.
Yes,
But we
exactly.
get a lot more with Mike certainly, and I
that's-
like his dad. His dad's great.
His stuff with his dad, and go find something interesting and come back and tell me about it. Like go down here and look at this, and
Yeah.
I love that about that and everything, and then like hearing the stories that he has when he's a kid, just like like. Yes, Daddy. Like his nature towards his father.
Yeah.
is very, very touching to me, and very, and he's also like I said, I love him in the smoke scene and everything. So that's why he beats out some of the honorable mentions. But
And there's no apocalyptic rock fight without him,
that's true, there wouldn't be.
and that's obviously
And let's be perfectly honest, without him, the circle doesn't close. We don't have our seventh.
yeah.
and
they
who
don't-
knows what happens to the other losers?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. It's just, I guess I've never had the connection with him, but yeah, so it's cool to see. It's cool to see our lists differ. I mean, you haven't seen my list yet, but obviously, me putting this all together, I've seen yours. We have some similarities, but we have some differences too, and I always love that to see the differences. Did Peter enter your mind at all?
Completely forgot about him.
Oh, okay.
I
forgot.
haven't read.
So-
I haven't read the. I reread Mr. Mercedes.
Okay.
But I have not reread Finders Keepers and
End of Watch.
End of Watch. I have not reread the second and third one in that series
So-
for years.
I
so
did,
that's why I forgot about it.
I did because of the show. I watched the show, and then that caused me to then have to go back and read all three of the books again. What I'm going to say about him is it's just shows King's quality, because there are times I want to reach into the page and just fucking grab him by the throat and just fucking shake the fuck out of him, because he's just whatever. But at the same time, I understand. Like,
Yeah.
King writes it in a way to where every time he's doing something stupid, you totally fucking get it. Like, he's not being stupid for the sake of stupid. We've all seen that in movies where it's just like people are being stupid because that's what the plot deems they need to do.
No, don't go in there.
But
It's
but for Pete
Yeah.
here, like every time he's doing something stupid, it's because he's in over his head and he doesn't want to put it on his family. He understands the like struggles of his family and his dad and everything that's going on, because his dad was taken out, lost a leg, or fucked up his leg in the original
Yeah.
Mr. Mercedes attack. So it's like he's kind of got this, he's almost got these adult issues that he's trying to deal with as like a 14-year-old kid. And I don't know. Yeah, that just resonated with me. And as much as he fucking frustrates me at times, where it's just like, no, dude, just fucking talk to Bill. Just
Yeah.
talk to, but like at the same time, I get it. Like, I totally get it. And it's like King writes it in a way to where I'm never more than a little mad at him, because I get it. I could put myself in
Yeah.
his shoes, being in that exact circumstance. I could totally see myself doing the same thing and not telling anyone.
You're more mad at his actions than you are at him as a character.
Yeah, like, because I'm an adult now, and I understand, like, dude, if you just went to someone, this is all going to be easier. But then if I put myself back in, whatever, 13, 14-year-old
Yeah.
Tad's shoes and put me in that exact circumstance, I'd do the exact same thing. Exact. No fucking difference. I would not tell anyone. It would be the exact same circumstances.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was curious, because, again, some of my frustrations with him, I was wondering, like, if he wasn't even considered, whether you forgot or whether it was just like, no, he fucking pissed me off because of some of this stuff.
I think I've only read Finders Keepers once. I think I've read the first and third because they're like directly related to Brady Hartsfeld
Yeah.
more than once. But I don't think that I've read Finders Keepers more than once. I found it
Okay.
interesting. I liked it.
Have you watched the series?
No.
Okay.
I watched season 1, which was the
First book.
the first book.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched past it
And
yet.
then season 2 is the third book.
book 3,
And then
right.
you don't see Pete until season 3. One thing that throws me off reading it is that his name's Pete, because Pete is Hodges' partner.
Yeah.
So like that threw me off. I remember when I got to the book, I'm just like, it like crossed the wires in my head where I'm like, Pete, wait, what the fuck is going on here? Like, are we in the flash? Like, then I finally like I got it straight, but it was just like, King, don't use the same name. Like,
Yeah, but see, the thing is that that's an element of realism.
No,
There
I
are
know,
other-
I know,
There
I
are
know.
other Peters in the world aside from me.
I know, but it's just one of those things where it's like in the same like, like same universe, I guess, because I don't remember if Pete's even that big of part of 2.
I don't remember 2.
Yeah, or yeah. So I don't know. But
He's big in If It Bleeds, and not the Outsider, but If It Bleeds, he's there working with Holly. So
oh yeah.
that's where he's big.
But he's like getting close to retirement and stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, he retires and then works with Holly in If It Bleeds after that. So
Yeah. So yeah, that's number 10 for us here. Let's see. Did I miss anything in the chat here?
Alan
Travis says he's sorry he couldn't participate in the list. Been busy with life and shit. I totally understand that.
That's okay.
And no reason to be disappointed in yourself there. Alan says Gordy LeChance from The Body and later done perfectly with the Stand By Me. Yeah, definitely. Very well executed. We'll definitely get to him a little bit more. So then number 10 here, let's get on over to the extended content. Let me shift over on the screen here and then get over to the next slide. So we got Chris from the UK. Oh, you know what? Actually, while I'm thinking about it, I want to pause because I owe Chris an apology. He actually sent in a thing for his top 5 King novels, and I completely missed. I think what I did is I clicked on his email at some point, and then I didn't go and click it to unread. So then when I went back to create the slide for that couple episodes back, I just looked at the unread one, so I missed his, and he emailed, and I was like, so I want to read his list for top 5 King novels because he should have been involved in it, and it was my fault. So he says, hi, Tad and Peter, Chris from the UK here, and the list of my top 5 King books before we jump in, and we'll jump back over here. Number 5, Duma Key, which showed up a couple times, but not certainly not the same kind of heavy hitter that was in a bunch of our lists, so that's cool. I always think of Chris from Australia with that one now because he's been such a big advocate for that book.
Yeah.
So I always think
that's why I don't know if you saw it for a second.
Is that why you read it?
Well, for a second I was like, wait a second, didn't we have Chris say Duma Key when we did this? It's a different Chris.
Yeah, different Chris. And then number 4, he has Salem's Lot.
Okay.
I fucking love Salem's Lot, dude.
It's a good book.
It's such a good one,
book.
man. I mean, I am disappointed by Father Callahan's small appearance there. I want him in it more.
You always think that he's going to be such a bigger part, and he's like,
that he's like gone. And you're like, what the fuck happened to him? And then number 3, 11/22/63, certainly one of the heavy hitters. And then number 2, he actually has a very unique one, Hearts in Atlantis, which is one that as a teaser, by the way, we're going to be doing for the Patreon.
Right.
Chris from Australia actually requested us to do that. So we're going to be reading that one and then kind of doing a deep dive into it for a future Patreon episode. And then number 1, he has The Dark Tower. So Chris, again, apologies. I missed you on that the first time around. Definitely my mistake. That's how I always do it, though, when we do these lists and I have to, like, whatever, is I'll look at them, see if they're whatever, enjoy reading them for a second, and then I'll click them on read. And then when I go to compile everything for the show, I always just go to my unreads and then just one by one.
You should put them in a separate folder.
Yeah, probably could do something like that. Yeah. But
just name it list folder. And then anytime we do a list like this, you just move them in there.
Yeah, that's true. So Chris from the UK, he starts off, as a matter of fact, with Hearts in Atlantis. He has Carol Gerber, and I know you haven't read Hearts in Atlantis yet,
or seen it.
So she's a pretty big part, and that's what I will say too right off the bat with the pictures. There's only one picture that I was unable to find anything for. But everybody else, I got something. Whether it's you see here at the bottom for later, I have a cover here. But overall, I tried mostly to get movie ones, but some people didn't have movie stuff, so I did what I could. But there's only one, and we'll get to it. It's on one of the extended content members. There was just someone that's like, there's literally no fucking way that anyone's like, even a fan has not drawn this character, so there's just nothing for it. And it's a newer one. I'll throw that out there as a tease. But Carol's a big part. She's certainly not the star, but she's probably the second lead of at least the first story when they're kids. But then she kind of crisscrosses because there are 3 of them there, 3 or 4 stories, and they're all kind of loosely connected. And she is actually a big part of that connection in some of it. But yeah, she's a great character. She gets some bad stuff happens to her. The main character helps her out, as well as Ted Brodigan helps out. So she's a great character. John from Buffalo has Charlie McGee.
Yeah, Charlie.
Certainly one that we're probably going to be seeing a lot of, I'll just say right off the bat here. And then Joe from Washington has Jamie Conklin from Later, one of King's newest books, second newest book. But yeah, I could see Jamie. He's the main character. You read her Later, yeah?
It's all blurring together.
kid that talks to the dead, and then the detective, mom's girlfriend,
Right.
uses him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jamie's a great character. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of him later.
Isn't he in high school?
No. Oh, he is at the very end.
Okay.
Like there's like his uncle dies, and then he goes to talk to his dead uncle to talk and learn about his dad. That's in high school, but everything else is pre-high school.
Pre-high school.
The rest of the book, like so, yeah. I thought the same
it's-
thing because it was just like, wait, how does
Yeah.
it all line out? But yeah, then I remember
he
like
is pretty young at the start of the book. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, I want to. He's probably he's probably closer to 10 at the
I
beginning.
think
of the
he's
book.
younger than that at
maybe,
the beginning of the
maybe
book.
even younger. Yeah, he is actually. He is really young.
The very first one.
Yeah, he's like
with the neighbor's
yeah,
wife.
like
is-
grade school.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
grade school.
Yeah, but he's a great character. Like I said, certain one we'll see again, I'm sure. And then Mike from Pennsylvania has Roland from
shit.
Wizard and Glass.
I completely forgot about Wizard, and Glass. Young-
I wondered. When I was looking at your list, I was like, huh, I wonder if that was on purpose.
Nope. I completely forgot. I completely forgot about Wizard and Glass with them being. I consider them older, so
Yeah,
I didn't count it.
They certainly feel it.
They,
but yeah,
they
they're
definitely
they're
feel
14.
it, but yeah, they're 14, so they
Because
absolutely
then
could have fit the list.
Steven was the youngest previous, and he was 16.
Yeah,
Because then everyone says that, like, your father was the youngest, and you're 2 years younger than him.
you know, 2
so,
years before him. Yeah,
So yeah, like that. Yeah. So Roland and the whole group there. So Roland.
I will say absolutely Cuthbert would have made my list.
Yeah, I wondered.
You'll be disappointed in me. I apologize. I cry your pardon. I absolutely forgot about Wizard and Glass being young enough.
Yeah. So a little bit of talk about Stand By Me in the chat. Certainly a good one. Yeah, definitely one. Probably not a competitor to it, but it's certainly
Up there.
up there. You know.
I'm so disappointed in myself now.
So let's go ahead and jump over to number 9 for you and I. I have Charlie McGee from Firestarter, and you have Bill Denborough from It. And one thing I'll say, I've been trying to like work through this, and the one thing about It that I'm going to say is spelling. There's spellings of almost all of their names that were done differently by people, so I've had to go through and like figure out which was right and then like replace them, because like I got to get a thing in the spreadsheet to then go and just automatically count and find me every time Bill Denborough's done.
Yeah.
But like I think Bill Denborough was spelled 4 different ways by different people, so like I was like going through. So I will mention it specifically. King has done names that are not as easy to spell.
Yeah, I spelled it right.
So, but yeah, Stutter and Bill. So what do you? So for me, I'll just start off here for Charlie. For me, I want to talk about. So, I like Charlie, but I will say she's almost Danny-ish to me, in that I didn't feel as connected to her as I did to like her dad. Like, and I feel like just because I don't know, I just feel like she's never as much the center of like the book. Like, I feel like there's always people talking about her. It's like she's certainly the central portion, but like I don't feel like we're in her head as much as we are like her dad and stuff. So I feel like I felt way more connected to Andy than Charlie. And you know what? I hate their names too. I always get them fucking confused because they're both generally male names. They both end in the same sound. So Charlie, Andy, I just flip flop them in my head.
Yep.
And there's times I'll be like there's even when I was reading it, there was times I was like Andy. I'm like, oh, okay, little girl. I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's the fucking dad. God damn it!
There's
King, you should have just named it like Chuck or something, because then it would have been Charlie and Chuck, or that wouldn't have been good.
No, that would have been really bad.
Name him David, because then it's like Charlie David. Like, cool, I could differentiate that, but Charlie Andy, same last part.
Isn't there a girl Andy recently too that was in something like big? I don't remember what, but there was a girl Andy where it's like that doesn't.
Isn't
help.
that Woody's girlfriend in Toy Story? Is Andy, or am I thinking
Bo Peep?
No,
Andy-
the girl
Andy's
Woody.
Andy's the kid.
The-
Jesse.
Oh, Jesse. Oh, yeah. Still.
Andy's the owner. Andy's the boy that owns them.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while. But
Get
yes.
Get out of here.
But so,
Come on.
so that's why Charlie. But I mean, she made my list. But that's why she is on the lower side, because I didn't have the same kind of connection to her as I will with later characters. Though I did care about her a lot, and we do get stuff about her. But I will say, same with Peter, is I wanted to shake her at times. You know, when she's believing Rainbird and stuff, I want to like reach the page and just like stop being a fucking idiot, kid. But then it's like at the same time, she's a fucking kid. So
she's third grade.
Yeah,
so.
she's not going to have that same kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, like my head where I'm like suspicious of everything. Like even if like King had written it in a way to where we were blind to the whole thing, I would have been suspicious as fuck. Cause it's just like, cause I'm an adult. And I'd be like, I'm watching you,
Yeah.
janitor, you know, but
Janitor.
it just, yeah, but no, she definitely does make my list. I do enjoy her. I can't wait to see her again on screen. I do think Drew Barrymore doing her in the original is probably the best part of the movie. You know, like overall, like I don't hate it as much as some people, but
Yeah.
it certainly is kind of forgettable in a lot of ways. But I do think that Drew Barrymore is probably the standout from the movie for me.
She
So
was good.
yeah. What about you with Stutter and Bill here?
I mean, his name is Bill Denbrough. Can you stop slandering my boy here?
That's his name. He's even called that by some other people here in the future here.
Bill's the leader for a reason. I love the character. He's lower on the list just because of some of the stuff that it's purely revenge. That's hard to get behind. I mean, if it was more noble, where it's, hey, we got to stop this guy from killing kids, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But hey, you killed my brother, you fuck, you're gonna die. That's where
Prepare to die.
you're gonna get your friends killed over that. That's
Yeah.
That's the only reason Bill slipped a little bit.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, he's the glue that holds the losers together. He's the reason that they're there, and everyone instantly looks to him. I mean, they cover it several times in the book where it's just like, okay, this decision has to be made. Instantly, everyone looks to Bill.
Yeah.
Like, and that's no small feat for an 11-year-old to come under.
Yeah.
That kind of pressure.
Yeah.
Let alone with it. I mean, if you just took it where it's just them dealing with Bowers and the bullies, you know.
Yeah.
That's still a ton of pressure to put on a kid, and he handles it like a champ.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the only reason.
And
he makes my
the
list.
shitty family situation.
That's
you know,
tough.
King almost goes Jake Chambers on Bill there for a bit.
Could you not, comfort your son that's living?
Yeah.
I know you lost one. That's horrible. I'm a parent. I couldn't imagine going through that.
Yeah.
But my God, you still have to take care of the one that's alive, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Yeah. I always feel bad for him in that. Not to mention he's the one that got his brother killed there by sending him out to play at that boat. So.
Shut the fuck up. How dare you? That is one of the worst things you've said on this podcast. You know it wasn't his fault.
Oh man.
Damn.
I didn't know I'd get under your skin that much at that
Well,
comment.
you know how bad he feels about it and everything, but he absolutely was not his fault.
Oh man.
Wow.
Oh dude, that oh, I love it. I love when you get all worked up. I'll mention Alan in the chat here. Says random facts. Just noticed to Stand By Me, the character Chris Chambers. Chambers. I never made that connection since I haven't seen Stand By Me since reading The Dark Tower. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting connection for sure. So let's go ahead and jump on over to number 9 that we're on here for the extended quartet. Chris from the UK has Richie Tozer, Trash Mouth here, and then let's see. Then John from Buffalo has Bobby Garfield, which I always forget that they had that movie for Hearts in Atlantis. So I was actually surprised when I found both he and Carol's picture. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's the movie there. So not to mention that, but that's Anton Yelkin, young Anton Yelkin, the late Anton Yelkin that played Kyle Reese in the one Terminator movie, played Chekhov in the Star Trek movies. Yep. So one of his earlier roles here is Bobby Garfield. And then the one I couldn't find the picture for, Craig from If It Bleeds, Mr. Harrington's Phone. Oh. So that's why I couldn't find a picture. I mean, you're talking a short story collection. It's on the newer side. How is there going to be an animation or an illustration for that?
Yeah.
Like, because unlike later, like he's the main character, so he's on the cover. I could at least pull that. But with that one, no, there's nothing. But no, he is a great character too. I really loved that short story. Mm-hmm. That was a fun one, and it was super like creepy. Like not that like you feel there's danger from the talking dead, but at the same time, like it's creepy that you're getting text from a dead person.
It's very ominous.
It's very unsettling. So great story there. And then Mike from Pennsylvania has Isaac Kroner from Children of the Corn.
Creepy ass kid.
I mean, I'll make the argument inherently kids are all creepy. Just
nah.
give me any kid and let me, like have them say something, like let me control them for a second to say certain things. And they don't even have to be like ominous things like, I'm going to kill you, Daddy. No, nothing like that, but just like, who's that man in the doorway? Just kids are creepy.
I would argue with you, but there was one time where my daughter just walked into the room. She just did this to my wife. Hello, mother. Just tilted her head to the left. The Michael Myers tilted, just hello, mother. And my wife was just like, no, that's not allowed.
No, don't ever do that.
Of course, now that my wife reacted, my daughter does it
all the time.
Then.
Yeah,
yeah, she does it every now and then.
Yeah. Let's see, and then in the chat here, Travis is hashtag Peter is pissed, and Alan hashtag Dad has set a new standard. Oh, hey, I'm just repeating what Bill himself says, right?
Doesn't make it right.
And then Alan also says Isaac Kroner, the single reason why the name Malachi weirded me out. Yeah, and let's just be honest, that is a weird name. Like
Malachi.
that's
There's some Bible names that I'm just like,
yeah, like that's just, and I'm sure Children of the Corn didn't help that case
No.
for the name Malachi there. Then Robert says, love Hearts in Atlantis, super connected to that book, which takes place in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where I grew up at the time and age.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. So that is number 9 for all of the extended quartet. So let's go ahead and move over to number 8. For us, for me, it is Bobby Garfield, which has already shown up. And you have Ben Hanscom.
Haystack Calhoun.
And nobody put him as the Haystack. Some people put Stutter and Bill, but his name was spelled incorrectly by a few people. So
Don't fall on me, Nessa.
for me, Bobby Garfield, he's just great. I love his connection with Ted. Like, I love him kind of standing up for Carol. He's just a great character. He's great. I just read it not super long ago. We'll be reading again for the Patreon side. But yeah, I just think he's a great character. And he was wonderful. But what do you got anything to say about Mr. Ben here?
What else is there to say about the young kid in love,
Is that what it is then?
It's a large part of it is that the thing I love about Ben is that he's still such a good kid despite being in love. How many times do you see young adults or kids who are, in love portrayed as, well, I want her, therefore anyone else who gets close to her must die. Yeah. And I love that Ben doesn't have that in him. Richie jokes with Bev about loving her and everything like that they're on a date. They're going to go on,
he does have his moments, though.
He has his jealous internal moments.
Yeah, and
but
like
he doesn't
trying to sit by her in the theater. And
but
stuff
he doesn't lash out at Richie.
No,
ever.
no,
he
not,
never does that.
No.
Which
he does
lesser
to
characters would have.
He does to the bully that makes fun of her or something. There's
an outside kid. He has the lisp.
That's right. I wasn't even one of the bullies.
He calls her a cheater, and he's like, "No, you take that." He doesn't even get like he's like, "Hey, take that back." Like, don't call her that, And I'm sorry, if I was a kid who had a crush on a girl, I'd stand up for her too. Yeah, that's the thing. Is that, and that's it's the honorable thing to do and everything like that. Plus, he's one tough son of a bitch. Yeah. The fact that he gets like an H carved into his belly without screaming and blubbering or passing out. Yeah. And then falling down backwards into the barrens and then still being able to move. On top of that, one of the things that sticks with me for Ben is after the tumble, after hiding out and having the nap, and remembering the mummy and the watch and everything like that with his mom, he stumbles upon Bill and Eddie, who's having a asthmatic attack. Yeah. And his aspirator's empty, and Bill has to go get it for him. Yeah. And he asks Ben to stay. Ben could have said, not my problem, not my pig, not my farm. Yeah. But he stays, and then Bill glances over his shoulder just before, leaving. Like, he starts to walk away, and he glances back, and he sees Ben getting rocks like, okay, if I'm here, I'm not going to be here and then run away. Yeah. If they come back to beat up, then they'll beat up Eddie, and I don't have to be faster than the bear, I just have to be faster than my friend. Yeah. It's not that. He starts gathering rocks like, okay, this is it. This is where I'm going to make my last stand. Yeah. Plus, let's be honest, he's a pretty damn good engineer. Yeah. Like architect, That's true. That is true. I always love that stuff with him, like building the clubhouse. Yeah. Instead of building it up, they build it down, and he's like, yeah, this is going to work. The dam and everything with the cop, all of that's golden. Like, Ben's all worried that he's going to go to prison, and, Yeah.
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's so more It characters showing up. I do have to call out the picture I chose to put in here.
Of course, you picked the one that has Pennywise in the background.
It's not Pennywise, it's the librarian.
No, that's Pennywise. Go watch it again. That's fucking Pennywise.
I honestly, I don't know if it's supposed to be Pennywise, but I do think that it's Machete showing absolute fucking mastery of horror, because you don't
Yeah.
shift focus to focus on her. You just have her fucking creepily staring at him. Like,
She
that's
like
just
grins like horribly.
Yeah, and grins like
Yeah.
so. Like, to me, that's almost like, that's not maybe as subtle as like Captain Howdy's face flashing on the screen for a split second, but it's subtle, more subtle, and I think that's what I loved about it, and that's what made it so great. So yes, I did have to pick that picture.
She is
so.
absolutely Pennywise. Zach just showed up, says, "Hi, I'm late to the party this week. Better late than never." Hi,
Yeah,
Zach.
welcome. And then Robert says, and my name is Bobby, so for Bobby Garfield. So
okay.
yeah, that's same place, same name. Yeah, I can see the connection there with the book. I mean, for me, unfortunately, the only kid's named Tad is doesn't meet a very good end.
He goes out in a blaze of glory. A little hot under the collar.
I mean, you got a couple Peters, you know,
Got a couple Peters.
but it's certainly harder for me to find names.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple bad. There's Peter Gordon, who's a bully in It. There's a Peter from Finders Keepers, and the partner in there as well.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so then jumping over to number 8 for the extended quartet, Chris from the UK has Chris Chambers, which was mentioned earlier from The Body. And then John from Buffalo has Mike Hanlon from It. So got that. And then I think Peter's discovered something here as well. Joe from Washington has Ben Hanscom matching with Peter here. And then Mike from Pennsylvania has Abra Stone, which
how
is,
the
I guess...
fuck could I forget Abra?
I assume that's who
God
you were...
damn it.
I assume that's who you were reacting to there. I'm like maybe Chris, but no, I'm sure it's probably Abra. So
I am so bad at this. Oh my god.
and again, doesn't that just prove the quality of King?
Yeah.
That like you could easily fill a top 10, and there's ones you forgot. Mm-hmm. I mean, you forgot the twinner of your favorite Dark Tower character. You know,
Well,
you forgot Abra.
To be fair, I thought they were too old. That's
Oh.
why I left them. I thought I forgot that they were young enough.
They're certainly mature beyond their years.
That's
but they are
that's what did it is I honestly forgot they were 14.
Yeah. It's understandable.
Yeah.
It's easy to lose sight of that. So yeah, definitely some good ones here. Chris, getting Chris Chambers, and then Mike and Ben are both ones that you've already called out here. But yeah, first appearances for Chris Chambers and Abra Stone. So
Damn.
that's awesome.
I cannot believe that I forgot. I'm gonna have to redo my list.
Well,
that's 2 now.
yeah, if you want to,
Potentially 3 because I fucking love Alan.
yeah.
Damn it.
Okay, so then jumping over to number 7 for you and I here, it is for me Eddie Kasprick, and for you Luke Ellis from the Institute, which was mentioned on my honorable mention. Definitely a good character. So what do you? For me, Eddie though, I just fucking love him, dude. Like his neurotic nature, like just reading it or watching it, I just fucking can't help but laugh like every time with him. Like it just. And I don't know, there's just, as annoying as it could be at times where it's just like the neurotic nature, it just cracks me up though. So I love him. I do think we actually get probably more from him than some of the others with his mom and the friends, everything. Like he is one of he and Bill are the original kind of friends. So yeah, I love him. I think the kid in the new series did a great job of him too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love Eddie though.
He's the one that what you described with your Danny, wanting to reach through and just like shake him a little bit with like Charlie and Peter that you also mentioned.
Yeah.
That's the reason Eddie fell off my top 10. It's just like, God damn it, dude. Like, if the worst part about him is that someone literally sits him down and spells it out. It's not one of those ones where it's like, come on, if you would just sit down and think about it. No, literally someone sat him down and is like, hey, this is A, this is B, this is C. And then he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and just keep ignoring that.
Well, I think what it comes down to is like, and actually, I think of the whole thing from Firestarter in the book. I don't think it was covered very well in the movie, but where they talk about like, you know, learned nature and how they talk about how like people will be in like excruciating pain before they'll like piss themselves once they're, you know, potty trained and stuff. And like they're saying about Charlie, where it's just like if we let like you know, Andy influence her too much to not use this power, like it may begin to the point where she'll never fucking use it.
Yeah.
Like it'll completely stop her from doing it. And I think that's what it comes down to is like Eddie can get the facts in front of him, but that doesn't undercut literally his whole life of being raised by a hypochondriac. And I don't even know if it's a hypochondriac, if there's another word for it, where it's like,
I think there is.
where it's like displaced hypochondria, where it's like, it's not you that thinks you're sick, but you think your kid is sick. Like, I think there might be a word for that, but like literally having that his whole life, there's just no way for him to like get over that really. Like, you know, like it's, I don't know.
Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
By proxy, yeah.
Is a mental illness and a form of child abuse. The caretaker of a child, most often a mother, either makes up fake symptoms or causes real symptoms to make it look like the child is sick.
Yeah. So I think that like, I don't like for me, that's how I perceive it, is like, not that Eddie's like choosing to ignore like the pharmacist, but it is like ultimately, yeah, his mom is like, it created him to be this way, and like, even when he becomes an adult, like he never gets over it. He's always got, you know, like when he's packing, he's got his whole fucking pharmacy and stuff, and like, you know,
right, because as a child he refuses to let it go. He makes the compromise with his mother in the hospital where it's like, hey mom, I know I'm not sick, I know there's nothing wrong with me, it's in your head and you're putting this on me, but I'm going to compromise with you and keep doing it so that I can keep hanging out with my friends.
And I think, like, okay, again, there's, like, the understanding, but there's, like, just the deeper nature of, like, neurotics. Because, like, if it did come to that, then, like, once he moved out, he would just give it all up. But it's, like, the fact that he still has that stuff as an adult is, like, because that shit's ingrained, man. Like, he's...
Yeah, after another 8 years of that shit, it is ingrained. That's what I'm saying, is that, for me, Eddie should have put the stop to it then, because then he could have had a normal life, as normal as any of the losers could have going forward, but he didn't. That's what I'm saying about Eddie.
Yeah, and to me, I don't perceive that as anything that he has any control over. Like, I think he can like grasp to the truth that like, okay, I know I'm not sick, but like that's not going to stop, like, because I love like in my head I'm picturing the scene when like they find out that they're in the brown water or whatever, and he starts like retching. Like it cracks me up. It's one of my favorite parts of the like small moments in the movies where it's just
he's
like
a great character.
But what I'm saying is, like, I just think that, like, as much as you can, like, have that in his back pocket, like, I understand that, like, I don't have this, like, deathly disease, but, like, there's still going to be, like, and that's why I call it, like neuroses. Like, it's neurotic. Like, it's not like he actually believes this stuff, but it's, like, it almost is like a talisman, you know, like his medications and stuff, where it's just, like, he has a pill for everything, you know, and when he's packing, like, he has one shirt, but he's got 15 pill bottles, because it's, like, that's just... what's ingrained in him. But yeah, I just love him as a character. I think I love him more as a kid, because yeah, as an adult, then it's just like, I don't know, like
it's way more sad as an adult.
Yeah, it's like the neuroses for the kid are like kind of funny, but like yeah, when it's an adult, it's like, oh, that's kind of sad. And then like marrying his mom, you know, literally in the Machete movie. But yeah, I love Eddie. What do you have to say about Luke?
Okay, so we read the Institute back to back, and all I remember is Luke's a badass. I don't remember it much. I almost left him off the list entirely, and then I'm like, no, him and one of the other ones that's on my list that's way high up there, I put on there purely because I remember at the time reading that I freaking loved the character. Can I remember the specifics of the Institute or anything?
Yeah.
After we did the back-to-back, I haven't gone back to it.
Yeah.
No. All I remember is that kid's a badass.
Yeah, and he goes through a lot, certainly.
Yeah.
In the, like, I mean, he loses his family, everything in the actual Institute, and then his whole escape. Like, yeah, there's a lot there, certainly. It's kind of like me with Bobby. Like, it's been a little bit since I read it now, but I remember how much I love Bobby, and I gave you some broad strokes for him, but it's like, I don't remember all the details, but like, as we dive into it again for the Patreon, like, you'll get to know him, and I'll be refreshed on it. But yeah, I remember just absolutely adoring him. So it's kind of the same thing. But yeah, Luke, he definitely goes through a lot. I even just think of just the escape, not to mention the fact that like he understands early on both of his parents were killed.
Yep.
You know, like when they took him. So, and I remember even that being a big thing for me, because it's like the second
the kids believe adults.
The second we as an audience see both of his parents killed, you're like, his world is over. Like his life is done. Like, You know, like if he just disappeared, like cool, parents are going to be there. They're going to be looking for him no matter how long it takes. Like once he gets out and gets back, they're there for him. Like he can return to some normalcy. But like when they just unceremoniously fucking execute both of his parents, it's like, okay, like,
oh shit,
this kid's fucked. Like, like it almost takes the wind out of your sails as a reader, where you're just like, yeah, I don't know, like that's a rough one. So that's number 7. So let's jump on over to the extended quartet. Chris from the UK has Ellie Creed from Pet Sematary. And she's a great character. Definitely not one that I thought of that heavily, but no, she is great. I do enjoy her. Of course, there's a spin in the newer movie versus the other one, but Ellie certainly great. Gage isn't really one you get a lot from because he's so young, but Ellie certainly get a more from, and I do like her. I remember just some stuff of her character was pretty great. I love like her in church and stuff before all the madness. And then John from Buffalo has Bobby Garfield. So again, another repeat character there. And then Joe from Washington has Gordy LaChance from The Body, which is one that I know I mentioned on my honorable mentions, but has he made it on anyone's list yet?
Not anyone's list, but he was mentioned in the chat. Is where he was.
Mentioned there, and I had him on my honorable mentions. And then Chris,
didn't you have all of them from The Body as honorable mentions, or did you specify?
No, just
Gordy.
Yeah, just Gordy.
Okay.
And then Chris Chambers was on Chris in the UK's earlier on the list here. But so cool to see him showing up for the first time. And then of course Richie Tozier, certainly not one not one that I'm surprised to see anywhere on the list from Mike from Pennsylvania. I do love Richie. He's he's great.
The Eddie Dean of the It Story.
Okay, so jumping on here to number 6, I have Abra Stone from Dr. Sleep, and you have Beverly Marsh from It. So again, Abra's already showed up. For Abra, I just loved her. Because I guess I went into Dr. Sleep with very low expectations because I didn't know what to expect. Like, The Shining had been out for so long. King's coming back to it decades later. I'm like, I don't know if this is even be good. And what I just remember was with Abra, what struck me is just how different she is from Danny. Like, Danny is kind of quiet and reserved and like whatever. But her, she just seems to like embrace
the shine.
And I love that. I love her attitude. I love just her badassness too. You know, she kind of turned things a few times on their head, and
going after Rose.
And even just like her not being totally like cognizant of things, like when she meets up with Dan, and it's just like, kid, do you understand what this looks like here? This isn't good. But it's like, as a kid, you don't perceive that necessarily the same way.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that, because it's actually come up recently with my daughter that we started having to be more like, hey, stranger danger needs to be a thing that you think about. You're going on 9 next month. This needs to be something that you need to be conscious of, because she's starting to get to the age where it's going to be, hey, mom and dad, can so-and-so's parents come pick me up and take me and so-and-so to a movie kind of thing. You remember doing that.
Oh, yeah.
13, 14 years old, going over to the mall to go see a movie or something with your friends or with your cousin Aaron.
Yeah.
And your brother. Yeah, that was a thing that happened. My daughter's starting to get there, so I need to start teaching her about this, because it was just the other day. She was down. We live in an apartment complex that has a playground in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You've been there. You've seen it. Someone came in, an adult, with like a bag of food. Uber Eats, DoorDash, something like that.
Yeah.
And he started asking the kids like directions. And I saw her and like 2 other kids start to go off, and I'm like, I don't know, kids. I stepped out. I'm like, no. Where are you looking for, sir? Like no, you don't ask kids for directions. Even that, like, it's 2021. You don't ask kids for directions. You don't approach kids. You don't call kids over to your car or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's And Abra was so brave in that scene. And then,
and for her too, like, it doesn't even compute, because like she's also become friends with Dan through The Shine.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, for her, it's like, this is a friend that she knows, and they've been communicating for a while. So for her, I don't think she even perceives it. And I love that, because that's just like so kid-like to not even like perceive that.
It's not even a real thing for her.
Yeah.
It's I know him better than I know my friends at school because of the shine.
Yeah.
We're closer than that.
And let's be honest, Dan has the shine, so she could fucking knock him on his ass if she really had
She
to.
could.
just like Danny does to Dick Halloran.
Yep.
Abra is very capable. So if anyone was coming at her that had the shine,
Or not the shine.
she's got some. She's got a fastball that she can throw their direction.
Yeah.
So, but I love Abra. I do think the actor that plays her in the movie too fucking added another layer
Nailed
to her. Yeah, she just did an incredible job. And I honestly would say that she would be lower on my list, maybe to the point of not even making the list if not for the movie. I think the actor did that much for the character. I loved her in the book, but I think the actor actually did so well that it's moved her higher than she would have been otherwise, which is high praise for the actor. She did a killer job. And Flanagan, directing wise. What do you got to say about Bev here?
What's not to love about Bev Marsh? I mean, she's tough. She's resourceful. She's independent and able to stand on her own.
Yeah.
I love the whole. What's the line at the end of school? It's Ben's memory, but one of the snotty girls turns to Bev and says something, and she's like, "Whoopty shit" or something like that. Ladies don't talk like that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, fuck yeah, Bev.
Yeah, she's a total tomboy.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the trauma and stuff involved, she's going through Jake Chambers level stuff.
By the end of end of the child section, yeah, absolutely.
So, like, ultimately, like, she's kind of mature beyond her ages. Her age. Like, she has to think like an adult in a lot of ways to kind of survive. Basically,
Do you ever wonder what happened to her after the events of the childhood, like 1958 after the flood? Like, not the flood, the trip into the sewer.
Like,
Did she just go home and everything was fine with her dad?
yeah, I don't know.
I've always wondered that.
Yeah,
Like, King doesn't exactly cover that. I mean, the man was basically looking to molest at the smallest bit, like the smallest chances that there's chances that it could have been something else as well.
yeah.
And chased her across town with multiple witnesses ignoring that. Like, oh, you're going to the woodshed,
Yeah.
honey.
Yeah.
Does she just go home and live with him after that? Because she
Yeah.
goes back to his house and she acts like she hasn't seen him since. She's 11. Where does she go?
Yeah, it's true.
I've always wondered that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, with the witnesses, it made me kind of think that filling the blanks a bit, that maybe she's able to get some people to step up and get her out of that situation, but that doesn't really take into account Derry. So
No, it doesn't. And let's be perfectly honest. I could see her, hey, my dad was going to do this. Stop it, girl. Go home.
yeah,
I could definitely see that happening, and especially in Derry.
it's not even mentioned with
not-
her as an adult, like talking back on it.
all it says is that she hasn't seen him since that day.
Yeah.
That's it, and it's just like, okay,
So
you're 11.
I guess
so
that's enough then. I mean, certainly we don't know what happens, but she doesn't go back.
I
so.
wonder if she tells her mom, and her mom's like, "Oh, we're done."
Yeah, could be. So let's jump on over for number 6 for the extended quartet here. Chris from the UK has Jake Chambers making his first appearance here. And then John from Buffalo has Richie Tozier. Bobby Garfield for Joe from Washington. And Mike from Pennsylvania has Bill Denborough.
What I'm understanding is I really need to read Hearts at Atlantis.
Yeah, I mean, it's on the docket here for the Patreon, so you will be experiencing. But yeah, Bobby is definitely a popular one. Yeah, definitely a good group of kids here. That'd be a nice little quartet right here
Oh yeah.
with this group of 4. I mean, of course, Richie, you'd have to get some earplugs.
Or a muzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would actually. That'd be really funny to see Jake Chambers and Richie together. Like, how would Jake handle it? Because Jake's such a reserved and quiet kid. Like, and I don't feel that Eddie really goes full Eddie in Jake's direction. So I don't think he has to like put up with Eddie the same way Roland does. So that would kind of be Jake getting his Eddie. Jake being the Roland and Richie being the Eddie. I just wonder how Jake would handle that. It makes me laugh to think about, but it really would be funny to
Poor Jake.
It would be funny to see for sure. That would be a fun little circumstance that we'll never see, but it's funny to think about. Okay, so then moving over to number 5, for us, I've got Jamie Conkle from Later. Yes, pretty high up there because and maybe it's recency bias, but I don't know, man. I fucking loved him, man, and I love that story. Like I don't know if I had high expectations for it, but it knocked my socks off, and it was certainly one. It felt like a novella where I'm like, I want fucking more of this story.
Yeah.
Like there's so many short stories and novellas at King's. I want this to be a 300-400 page book, and later was that way because I loved this kid. Like he was great. I loved seeing him interact with other people. I love the way that his whole thing works. Obviously, he's going through some shit with the freaking detective that's kind of fucking him over with this shit and constantly pulling him out of normal reality and bringing him into some pretty
forcing him
into some pretty not good situations. So that's mine. And then you got Jack Sawyer. Have we seen Jack yet? I don't think so.
I think
I mentioned him for honorable mention. But,
yeah.
Because I said I cheated to keep him off of there. But I said I haven't finished the book, so I can't count him. Because I haven't heard his full story yet.
Yeah, he's the one that I was talking about earlier that I read The Talisman and Black House once, and I just know that I love Jack when I read it. I don't remember any of the details for the books. It's almost like I haven't read them. I need to go back and reread them.
Yeah.
But
once I'm done with this nonfiction book, I'm going to jump back in and pick up where I left off at this religious, almost like jailish type thing. Because like the cops pick him up and bring him there.
Yeah.
But then you get this whole idea that like the cops are taking bribes to bring kids there. So pretty shady. I don't know how shady it's going to get, but it sure seems shady as fuck with what I've read so far.
I honestly don't remember much about those books, so I put him on there purely because I just remember, like, I had him as number 11 as an honorable mention, kind of like you, and I was like, I honestly don't remember these books, and I'm like, dude, that's bullshit. You know you love this character, so absolutely had to put him on there. And when I started doing, because I got to 10, when I started doing, okay, this character or this character, okay, this character or this character, he beat out 5 others.
Yeah. No, he's great so far. Like I said, I'm really glad that I haven't finished it yet.
Yeah,
because then I wouldn't have been able to cheat, and I would be.
You'd be in a more tough situation.
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck I'd be. Maybe flipping a coin to figure something out there.
The old Two-Face strategy.
I think I got a quarter sitting over here. So I mean, yeah, because
that's honestly shocking to see you with coin. You hate coins.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. I've just I keep noticing it there. I'm like, oh, there's a quarter right there. So yeah,
it's a listening device that was installed in your house. They're listening to. It's from North Central Positronics.
Yeah, probably. I mean, got a cell phone sitting here too, so they're of course listening. So let's go ahead and jump over to number 5 for the extended quartet. Chris from the UK has Beverly Marsh. Then John from Buffalo has Gordy LaChance. Joe from Washington has Abra Stone. And then Mike from Pennsylvania also has Beverly Marsh.
Hey.
So she's showing up quite a bit here, kind of in this middle of the pack section here, which is good. That's, people ranking her in the top 5 or so. That's some good rankings there. And then Abra showed up quite a bit. Gordy showed up a couple times now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Beverly is certainly a pretty good heavy hitter at this point.
This is where we're going to start getting into the Jake range.
Yeah. Let me see. I want to say just before we go too far, sorry, Mike from Pennsylvania did have some just small notes on these. Let me go through. On Roland Deschain, he said, sorry, I did this last time too. He says, maybe he's a sociopath, but boy, is he entertaining. Learning about the childhood of Roland was great. It filled in so much minutia for the whole world and showed from day one Roland was different than everybody else. And then Isaac Kroner from Children of the Corn. He said this kid could probably scare Joseph Stalin. Seriously, one of King's straight up scariest characters, and he has no power. Yes, he's a creepy little fucker. And then Abra Stone, he says she is much more powerful than Dany, but instead of having problems, she takes to it like a fish to water. The trap she sets for Rose is a great example of a powerful character. And then where are we at number 5? So then he has Richie. He says beep beep Richie, sarcasm, joking at the wrong time, and not being able to read the room. I love this guy probably because I'm a lot like him. A lot. Peter's like, yep.
Yeah, that's me.
Could see that. And then Bill Denborough, he said the leader of the team. He drips with charisma and confidence despite losing his brother in a horrific way and having a handicap. So he's got that. And then we're here at number 5 for Beverly. He says Beverly is a deeply fascinating character. Having an abusive father, coming from nothing, she still finds success, but she also marries a stand-in for her father. Her character is one of the better arcs for King's kids. Yeah, she's Awesome. So sorry about forgetting about the notes up until this point, but I'm glad I remembered now and not at the very
end.
At the very end. We're getting close to the end, but certainly we're not there yet. So then let's go over to number 4. So number 4 for you and I've got Beep Beep Richie, and you've got Trisha McFarland from The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon.
Dude, I fucking love her. She's
And I haven't
so
read,
good.
I haven't read that one yet. So
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into too many spoilers, but basically the entire
I know the
book,
premise.
the entire book is her.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're a character that can stand on your own and carry a book like that, hell yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Gerald's Game-ish in terms of like you really only have one character you're focusing on.
You legit have one character. It's not one where I've read it once and it stuck with me. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, people who have read The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Is it Loved Tom Gordon or Loves Tom Gordon?
Loved.
Is it past tense? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I don't think that we have flashbacks or anything at all like that in this one, like we do with a lot of other King works, where it's like, I remember the time where, because the big thing is her mom and dad are going through a divorce.
Yeah.
And her mom takes her and her brother out for a hike, and she wanders off the trail to go to the bathroom, and then can't find her way back and gets lost. So it's us following her lost in the woods. But I think that I don't think that there's like, and then I flash back to my brother's birthday party 3 years ago, and then it's a scene with mom, dad, and brother.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any of those really in there. She talks about the past and she talks about things that happen, but I don't think that it like full on flashes back.
Yeah.
Like we're there with her through, I think 98% of the book is just her.
That's great. I look forward to reading at some point as I'm moving through the whole King pantheon. For me, I don't know what to say.
Beep beep
with Richie. I mean,
just beep beep Tad. You don't gotta say it.
I love it. I love it. We just read Mike's notes, and I think I agree. Yeah, Richie's just awesome. Two of my best friends, you and Hayden. You guys are both very boisterous. Very silly. Like you guys are Richie types, both. So it's like, and it's the opposite of me. Like I'm not that. Like I feel like I have my wit, but I don't think it's like.
Dude, you got your dry humor. You're very British humor that just like cuts daggers through people.
Yeah, but I'm definitely not in the Richie type. But like two of my best friends are both that type. So it's like it's certainly there's a connection there. But yeah, I like just everything about him. I love his relationship with his parents that you see, the little bit you see with his dad and stuff. I love like his refusal to accept things. Like he doesn't tell his story and stuff for a bit. He's denying it exists. Like I love that because it's kind of interesting because the rest of them are just kind of open to it.
Yeah,
and he's
embracing it.
And he's just not. And I love that. I think that's an interesting take because and it doesn't really seem like it fits him. Like it feels like that would more be maybe even Eddie, like a little bit more just like, no, this isn't real. Like my medication's real. Like ghosts aren't real or clowns aren't real. Like, whatever. But so Richie being kind of the more fantastical, like for him to have that denial is interesting. I think that's a really interesting choice for King to give that in that direction because it doesn't seem like it fits, but it totally works for him. I think that like when it comes to like the original 90s series, like I've always said, Tim Curry is pretty much the only thing that's really great about that series. The rest of it's pretty forgettable. I will say Seth Green playing Richie is probably my next spot in like things that I enjoyed about that original one. Beyond that, I think the rest of it's pretty forgettable. So Richie's great. I'm sure it was probably a blast for the actors that played him across the board there.
Yeah.
So then let's go head over to the extended quartet. Chris from the UK has Cuthbert Allgood, the gunslinger, or the wizard in glass, I guess. He also mentions the gunslinger. For the slide, I just kept it as wizard in glass. John from Buffalo has Beverly Marsh. And then Joe from Washington is Charlie McGee from Firestarter. And then Mike Hanlon from It from Mike from Pennsylvania. He says, Mike is hardcore. I can't imagine going through what the Losers Club did and not only sticking around, but then investigating the monster. Imagine getting in a fight with the mob and then sticking around to dig into their past and then multiply that by it.
Jesus.
So, it's true. And honestly, Mike's made it on here a lot more than not more than other It characters, but certainly we've seen a pattern up to this point at number 4. There's a lot of It characters.
Yep.
They're definitely here quite a bit. let's see. Next up is number 3. Let me get this row highlighted here. So jumping over here, I have number 3. I have Beverly Marsh, and you have Richie Tozier. So both of us got It characters. Once again, padding the list for It. I feel like if we were to get, for next week, if I get a chart for book appearances, like where these kids show up, I don't think It is even like you could probably combine every other one, and it's not going to come close to what It has got.
Nope.
Because again, they're great. I mean, I can't say much more about Beverly than what we've said.
Yeah.
Definitely the kind of girl I would have fallen for in grade school in terms of like the tomboy, that kind of thing. Is like that was always my like I hung out with girls like that in elementary because it's like the girly girls. I'm just like, the fuck? Why would I even care to
What's the point?
Yeah, like you guys aren't even fun.
I want to
But,
go
like,
play basketball. I want to go play football. I want to go play army. I want to go play tag.
Exactly.
I don't want to have to drag along a girly girl. Yeah.
Yeah. So just like if I put myself in their place as kids, like Beverly would easily be one that I would find myself friends with.
Hell, I married a type of Beverly Marsh, a girl that she's with us on our movie crew. You know, the one that wants to go see the Marvel movies and the Star Wars movies and stuff like that. She wants to go do what we do.
Yeah.
One time, my wife took me paintballing for one of our anniversaries as a surprise, and then shot me in the head. I mean, like if that doesn't scream Beverly Marsh, I don't know what does. I mean, literally surprised me by taking me paintballing and then requested that we get put on opposite teams, and then shot me right here in the dome and left a mark on my forehead.
I mean. Yeah, you and I have gone paintball. I've always been like, I want to be on the opposite team.
You're like, I want to shoot Peter.
So yeah, not much else to say. Do you have anything other to add for Richie here?
Beep beep. He is the greatest character in It, hands down. Like,
yeah.
I like Mike said, like Beverly has the greatest arc and everything like that. Richie is the most rounded character to start with, and stays that way. He doesn't ever drop off. He is the comedic aspect of the group. Others are funny. Others have jokes.
Yeah.
But almost all of them play off of Richie in some way.
Yeah.
Eddie gets jabs at Richie. Bev gets jabs at Richie. Even
Yeah.
Ben, Mike, Bill, all of them.
Yeah.
You know, the beep Richie comes from Ben, but it's in response to Richie Tozier.
Yeah.
You know, the scene. I've legit convinced my wife to listen to the audiobook of It because, again, remember, terrified of clowns she is. Never watching It, never reading it. She won't do it, flat out. She's told me a price. I don't know if I've ever told you this. It would be 5 figures.
Yeah.
To watch it. Just to watch It, chapter 1, it would be 5 figures.
Yeah.
I mean, you paid her $20 to watch the trailer.
The trailer.
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I should post that video sometime. I should get her permission and post it on YouTube. That would be interesting.
Man.
Tad pays woman terrified of clowns $20 to watch It trailer. But literally, Richie is like the glue that keeps the group together. There's always a type like this in every major group that is the comedic, but when the chips are down, who is the one that has Bill's back in the Ritual of Chud?
Yeah.
Richie steps right up to the plate and fucking knocks it out of the park. That's what he does. But his scene, I got sidetracked there. The scene that I convinced my wife to listen to is a scene where Richie is short on funds with his dad.
Oh, yeah.
What, oh son of mine?
Yeah, yeah. One thing I'll say, because I already covered Richie, was I'll say one thing that Machete added that I don't think is really in the book is Richie's the one that calls Bill on his shit about his brother.
Yeah.
And I think that was like maybe one of the best things that is not textual. It isn't from the actual book that Machete added that was probably the best. Because that's more real to me. Like, there's at least going to be one at some point that would be like, dude, fuck you. Just because you're I'm not going to get killed because you're fucking brother.
Yeah.
You know, and I just feel like Richie is the perfect one to be in that circumstance. Because, like, it would generally maybe, in my mind, would be the closer friend, which would be Eddie.
There's no way Eddie.
Yeah, there's no way Eddie. That's just, it's not his nature. He would never do that. So it's like, I think Richie is probably the next closest friend. I think, weren't they somewhat friendly before everything?
Richie, Bill, and Eddie were all friends before.
So then that follows that. I mean, it's like Cuthbert Punch and Roland, right? It's that kind of thing. Like, it's the close it's the close friend that's like is the one that's going to be like call you on your shit. And I think Richie doing that in the movie, it's one of those things where I'm like, God, I wish King had got that in the book because he calls him out where it's just like, dude, like, I mean, of course they get over it and stuff, but like the fact that they have that confrontation, I love because that's real, and I just felt it was great because it worked with Richie. Like it totally jived with him. I guess.
Did we just stumble on another Stephen King twinners? Roland is Bill, Cuthbert is Richie, Alan is Eddie. Think about that dynamic for a second.
Wait, what?
Roland is
Eddie
Bill.
Kasperick.
Yeah.
When you say Eddie, I'm thinking Dark Tower.
No, Alan is Eddie Kasperick.
Oh yeah.
Think about that for a second. There's no way that Alan would have ever punched Roland or
even really call him out,
or even
no.
called him on his shit.
No.
No, he says it in Wizard and Glass. He's the leader.
Yeah.
He's a gunslinger. We're not even apprentices.
Yeah.
He's a gunslinger.
And that's exactly what Eddie would say.
That's exactly what Eddie. He's Big Bill.
Yeah.
But Richie, like you said in the It movie, in that version, it has where he calls him on his shit. That is very Cuthbertish. That's Cuthbert knocking Roland on his ass in Wizard and Glass.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never thought about the dynamic of those three together.
Yeah.
Before, but that's that quartet right there.
Yeah, that's true.
Damn.
It does fit. And the wronged person, right? Like Roland was wronged greatly.
And Bill was wronged.
Yeah.
Leading his quartet into
And that leads to like the march to destiny, right? The reason to marching towards Pennywise in the showdown and the reason for the tower. Like
yes. And Bill and Roland have that same like, no, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Peter's mind is blown. Okay, so going over to the extended quartet, Chris in the UK has Mark Petrie from Salem's Lot. Yeah, he hasn't showed up yet, but he's a good character. The one that's like all like into like the monster movies and he's like the only one that actually understands.
Yeah.
Because like, and I love that the way that King builds that in, where it's like because he's like into all the monster movie stuff, he understands the rules, he understands like whatever, like because like that's me, like you know, like if pre like this new zombie craze, like if zombies would have broken out in like 2000. I would have been fine. Like I grew up on those movies. I would have been the one that, like, here's the fucking rules, you people. Like now, of course, everyone and their fucking dog knows because like every, The Walking Dead, all these movies have come out.
Yeah.
Like it's just they're the biggest things in the world now. But it's like so I just feel a kindred spiritness with Mark Petrie in that. Yes, if my town are being overrun by vampires, I think I would not only recognize it but understand, the rules and accept them.
Here's rule 1: get the fuck out.
Yeah, get the fuck out. Oh yeah. So that's a good pick. John for Buffalo has Jack Sawyer. Yeah. So again, he's showing up. Now, Joe, this is a hard one to find something for. Joe from Washington has Young Eddie, and I think he may have a note for this one. He didn't have a note for everything. Let's see. Oh, he'd have a couple notes I did miss. So his number 8 for Ben. He says it's very hard to choose only one member of the Losers Club.
Why only one?
Yeah, as I say, I don't remember. I don't think we said that we were going to restrict it. I think I thought about it though, because I was like, that maybe that's the only way to make this easy is like just restrict myself. But then I was like, how?
No.
How do I do that? So yeah, I don't think we said that, that we put that on you, but hopefully you didn't interpret that as something we said. Then at his number 6, he had Bobby Garfield. He says, love the Dark Tower tie-in. This story could easily have been extended to a full-length novel. Yes. And that's Low Men in Yellow Coats, which is the first story when they're younger. And I agree. I fucking wished, like, when it ended and it was going to another story, I'm like, no, don't do that. And then he has Young Eddie.
What I picture is Tad eating a delicious steak, cooked perfectly, getting like 4 bites in, and then someone like, all right, you're done with that.
Well, it's like everyone says filet mignon is the best, right? But it's like filet mignons are tiny. Yeah, so it's just like, I don't get filet mignon because it's like I want to get me I'll get me a ribeye that's 12 to 16 ounces, and I'm gonna be full for a while. Filet mignon that's like half the size. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, it may be better, but it's small, and that's that. Yeah, so that's Low Men in Yellow Coats. But then here for Young Eddie Dean, he says, I know it's a brief moment in the Dark Tower, but I love how you could almost see Eddie's character as a child when Jake is following the Dean brothers, specifically when they play basketball and Eddie lets Henry win even though he's the better player. So, and I don't know how Google Images had something for this. I was shocked, but I did find someone had animated young Eddie.
Holy shit.
So I was like, that's one when I was looking at the list before I started looking for pictures, I'm like, yeah, Mr. Harrington's phone, that's not going to happen. Young Eddie, that's not going to happen. So when I actually found something, I was like, holy shit, how the fuck is that? But yeah, so he picked Young Eddie. And then Jake Chambers making another appearance here from Mike from Pennsylvania, which you mentioned. This is Jake Chambers territory.
It is
what you predicted here. And he says Jake is the deepest kid character. He's an old soul in that he fights like a war veteran, but he still plays like a kid. And there's not much there's so much to say about Jake because he's great, and I certainly expected that he would be very high on the list for a lot of people here. So good picks there. Moving over to number 2, for me, I've got Cuthbert Allgood from Wizard and Glass, and you've got Charlie McGee from Firestarter. I don't know if I have to go too much into it. We all know I'm a huge fucking fan of Cuthbert. Just absolutely one of the highlights for me for book 4 is him. Not only his humor, everything about him, but also even just what we mentioned earlier with Richie. With Cuthbert, like the fact that he's the one that fucking punches Roland because I wanted to do that. So the fact that he did it because I would have done the same thing. Like, I don't care whatever hierarchy that like Alan sees. Like, I don't fucking care, dude. He's gonna get us killed because he's fucking up in the clouds right now.
I'm gonna make him realize it.
Yeah. So like that may be one of the most satisfying moments in the books for me.
There's a reason that Wizard and Glass is your favorite too.
Yeah, and that too. I mean, and he's one of my favorite parts of that book. So that probably says a lot about him. Equally, Charlie McGee and Firestarter is one of your favorites. You've been saying that for a while. So, Charlie, anything you want to say about?
It's so funny how it works out. I read Firestarter when my daughter was very it was before my daughter because I read Firestarter back in the day. And then I have a daughter, and I come back to Firestarter, and we recently watched the Drew Barrymore flick for one of our hangouts, and goddamn if I don't see my daughter in her.
Yeah.
Like some of the things she does and says and how she acts is very reminiscent of my kid,
which again speaks greatly to King's ability to write. Like the fact that you're seeing this fictional character that a grown-ass man wrote, and you're able to look at it and go, shit, like this is how my daughter would say.
God damn, that is something my daughter has said, or something like something like that. And it's one of the most real characters that I can feel. I love her fortitude. Like, I'm with you. Like, I just want to reach through the pages and just smack her once in the back of the head and be like, God damn it, kid, you know he's fucking with you.
Yeah.
Like, burn him.
Yeah.
Burn him now.
Yeah.
Turn his ass to ash.
Like, remember Sarah Connor and her dream with the nuclear bomb? Yeah, do that to him. Do it
right now.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Like, that's it. You don't have to set any more fires. Just that one.
Just him.
Just that one.
Just
but at the same time, I totally get it, right? Like, she doesn't have the same kind of mental, like, whatever that we have as adults, you know?
Maturity.
Yeah, maturity. So something like the Andy, right? Andy would tell her and stuff. Like, she doesn't have that. She's too young. So, great character, certainly. And but she's also, obviously been speckled all over this list.
Can I just say one more thing about Charlie before we move on? One of the absolute boss moments in all of King's universes is her walking into the Rolling Stones. That's the perfect mic drop to her to her fire.
God, I wish we saw more of it though. I want to know what happens.
I want to.
It's like you said with Beverly, like what happens between. I want to know what happens from there. Like,
where's the Firestarter 2 secret?
Yeah, exactly. Even just show me like another book where it mentions like the shop is this thing that existed until it was exposed by, this report by the Rolling, like just some throwaway.
A child went to the Rolling Stones with a report about the shop and they had to close it down.
Yeah.
Thus, then the Institute was created.
Yeah,
or something like that.
That's...
How great would that be?
Oh, but dude, yeah.
It's the perfect mic drop to, you fuckers killed my father. You fuckers lied to me. I'm going to burn every single one of you. Almost. Some of them do survive. And then her perfect mic drop, she could have just slipped away.
Yeah. No,
her perfect mic drop is, all right, motherfuckers, now I'm going to go expose you.
Yeah.
As a 9-10-year-old kid, she does this?
Yeah.
That is so...
And maybe that's it. That's my headcanon now. Until it gets proved otherwise. The shop was disbanded, and that's where the Institute comes in.
People got arrested. People got
imprisoned.
Senate hearings. They got sentenced harshly for experimenting on humans and war crimes. Because those are war crimes, aren't they?
I mean,
human experimentation like that is under the Geneva Convention, isn't it? Especially if it is your own subjects, and that was the U.S. government doing it.
Yeah,
isn't that technically a war crime?
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
No, not a war crime. Crimes against humanity.
Yeah,
they're different. They fit into my same brain and under the same level because of the Nazis with like what
and Japanese did it too.
Not Mandela. Mangla. I just lost my contact. Okay, got it. I hate that I forget that I wear contacts and then I rub my eye and it just goes whoop and just slides over here or in or up or down. And then you have to try to get it back without it falling. It's a nightmare. Don't ever have contacts. Get LASIK instead.
I have to get a contact for my surgically repaired eye.
Do you?
Can't do LASIK after you get a corneal transplant.
Well, that's what happens when you put zombie parts in your head.
Yeah,
it's
true.
But yeah, Charlie going to the Rolling Stones is probably. There's one that we could do a list for. Top 5 favorite Stephen King endings. It would be number 1 for me, probably.
Yeah, that is an interesting one.
Because it's,
you have to take a note of that. In a minute when I'm not going to throw it out there as certain anything, but that's certainly one we should remember.
I'm going to text you it just to top.
Okay, so while you're doing that, let's go over to the extended content one for number 2. It's getting a little bit, I wouldn't say predictable, but we're getting some of the repeat characters here. Chris has Eddie Kasperick from It. John from Buffalo has Stuttering Bill. Joe from Washington has Jack Sawyer, as does Mike from Pennsylvania. So Jack is showing up all over the place. Stuttering Bill's been all over the place. Eddie hasn't had as many appearances, but this is a repeat appearance for him. So good little I don't know. Yeah, it's predictable a bit to see some of these characters once we're getting up in this higher realm where it's just you're gonna, and even ones that like, okay, it's higher for some people. Some people had them lower, but there's some of these characters that are on everybody's list.
Every single one, yeah.
So that
what
says something.
Did Joe and Mike say anything about Jack here?
Oh yeah, that's good call. Joe says about Jack. Jack reminded me a lot of Jake Chambers. The Talisman is almost like an entire book centered around Jake. So yeah, definitely what I'm feeling so far. I could certainly see it. Who's his twinner?
Jake.
No. Who's Jake's twinner actually called out in the Dark Tower books? Is it Bobby? Because Ted Brodigan sees him.
He's like, oh my God, is your name Bobby?
Yeah. So he is Jake or Jack. I think people want to connect them, but there's no actual textual connection with the two. You know, that they share similarities, but there's no like Ted saying like, oh my God, your name's Bobby. Like,
yeah,
no, it's Jake.
I hate to break it to you, twinners does not necessarily mean that there's only 2.
Yeah, but
there's multiple levels of the tower. There's a Jake Chambers version on every tower level. Bobby on one, Jake on this one, Jack on another.
I think that's more fan theory though, and that I don't know. I mean, I haven't read it all, but I don't like you because I think I looked into it when I was starting to read the Talisman, where I'm like I couldn't remember who was the twinner, so I was like looking it up and like Jack Sawyer, Jake Chambers twinners, and mostly it's just fan speculation. There's no like hard textual thing saying like yes they're connected here, but it's just one of those things as Joe says here, like they feel very similar, which is equally legit, I guess. It's just not in the text.
Spencer says in the chat, random thought I just had, Cuthbert and Richie Tozier may be twinners. And that's what I'm saying is that twinners doesn't, I mean, yes, twin is in the word.
Yeah.
But I think there might be different versions of Eddie and Richie and Cuthbert on every level of the tower that have different things to them.
Yeah. So then Mike about Jack says, imagine Jake, he of the quartet, having to go on a journey to the tower, but by himself. Jack faces horrors, new and old, but still pushes on. So both people saying the same thing there.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying in terms of like, we know for certain that Bobby and Jake are, because that's like called out by a character that saw them both.
Legitimately written by Stephen King.
Yeah, it's like, holy shit, you guys, like, your name's Bobby. No, it's Jake. I don't know who you're talking about.
Jack, Jake, and Bobby equals tripleters. That's not a tongue full. Tripleters.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
Tripleters.
Has it lost all meaning yet?
Tripleters. All I can say is tripleters.
All right, so now that
you should just name this round table. Just name it Tripleters. That's what you should do. You should name each episode after we record it.
I used to put some stuff in the title, but that ended up being too much work after a while. Where it was just like
you should just do like one thing like that from the chat in each episode. Just Tripleters would be this one. We'll start at this one.
I don't know. That's I like the cleanness of it now, where it's just
book club 110.
Yeah, 110, 111, whatever.
So official.
So
maybe I should knock you off your high horse there, Roland.
So moving on to number 1, you and I are the same.
Yeah,
Jake Chambers. I mean,
was there ever any doubt?
For me, no. I mean, I like Cuthbert and Jake were 100%. Like when I even put my list, I put them 1 and 2 because I know they're going to be 1 and 2. Like for me, there's no question. I don't know if you were that way with Charlie, but like I just knew that was my 1-2.
It was Richie. Richie and Charlie were my. If I was gonna flip a coin, it was gonna
would have
become
been that.
But the connection to my daughter is what put Charlie over Richie.
Yeah. So with Jake, I mean, yeah, I don't think we have to go too deep into it. We're a Dark Tower podcast. I think all of us listening, or the two of us talking here, understand what there is to understand about Jake. He's just, I don't know that King's written even adult characters that are as well done as Jake is. And
Yeah.
I think what someone mentioned it on one of their notes where it's just like he is an adult, but he also is still a kid. And I don't think there's ever a time that I look at Jake and go, come on, King. Like, this is just an adult you put in a kid's body. Like, no, he's still a kid. He's still struggling. Like the whole division of the quartet that he ends up calling out. But, like, he waits a long time because he understands I am just a kid. Like, I don't have a place to, like, call out these adults in this quartet for their bullshit. Like, I don't have that place. Like, he gets there eventually, but, you know, and then, like, him playing with his friend and stuff. And, like,
jumping out of the barn into the hay and everything like that.
And the sleepovers.
yeah.
I mean, just, like, there's everything about that. And then, like, to then, of course, King, because he's a fucking monster, has to then put in the position to where they find out that his friend's dad is the traitor.
Yeah.
Like... So King doesn't end shitting on him in book 3 by any means. You know, books 1 and 3 are not these summation of shitting on Jake Chambers.
King shitting on Chambers. Name a more iconic duo. I'll wait.
Yeah, no shit, dude. Like,
damn.
Because it is.
Well, even like the one that always sticks out for me with what you're talking about is a very boyish response. Is "Oi" on the bridge.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you right now, if that was one of my animals, you know, a dog, a cat, you know, I currently have a cat. And if that was my cat and she started to go over, you better fucking believe I'd let her bite my hand to survive.
Yeah.
It's same thing with the dogs that I've had in my life. I'm an animal lover. I love cats and dogs. Dogs more than cats. St. Bernards are my favorite dog. I already have a name picked out for my first St. Bernard. So
Yeah. Cujo?
No.
Why not? Just waiting for it.
It's too obvious, sir. It's too obvious.
Well, you better not be Beethoven. I'm going to punch you in the throat.
No,
I'm not saying.
No,
you're going to brush off Cujo as too predictable. Then
Beethoven's
even more.
Beethoven's a slight against Saint Bernards to an effect that you should never name a Saint Bernard that. If you named a Saint Bernard Cujo, I'll let it go. It's just not for me.
Yeah. What about Wolf?
But no one should ever name a Saint Bernard Beethoven. That is against the law in my eye. No, the name I have picked out for my Saint Bernard. I'm not telling anyone because I've had people steal names before for pets that I've had in the past, and I'm just like,
oh, is it like a unique name?
Not a unique name, but I think it fits.
Alan says Oi.
No. I'm not allowed to. Oi, O-I? Do you put it as O-I? I always put it as O-Y.
Yeah,
like boy, because he that's where. Come on, boy, and he's B-Y. O-Y, I mean.
Yeah, I think I've seen it both ways.
If anyone guesses the name of my Saint Bernard, I'll buy you like a sticker or something off of TeePublic.
What about Wolf?
Wolf.
Talisman.
If I remember Talisman, no, not 7.
That's a good Seinfeld reference, though.
Is it?
I love that.
Is it?
Because George wants to name his kid 7.
Oh, really?
Because he's a Mickey Mantle fan and stuff, and they end up telling another couple, and then that couple steals the name, and they name their kid 7.
Yeah.
So what you're literally everything you're saying, like in my mind, I was thinking the same thing. So good call there, Robert.
No worries, Alan. I was wondering honestly if that's how it was spelled. I've always spelled it O-Y because I just thought it was abbreviated for boy, B-O-Y, and because he shortens words. No, it's not Falcor.
Falcor's a good one.
No, it's perfect for a Saint Bernard. As soon as I told my wife, it's stuck. It's going to be there.
I was going to say I don't know if the Beast from Creepshow has a name. That's what I have to look.
The monkey?
There. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called the monkey. Oh, I know my enemy. It's called the monkey.
Your enemy.
No,
he's a happy little creature.
Yeah.
No, I love Jake. He's just a great character, and like I said, I would put Jake against adults, like in terms of well written, well rounded characters.
God,
to say that, like, in my view, because again, I accept there's other people with different interpretations, but in my view, there's no kid that King's written better. And like I said, he's written so well that I put him up against adults, and I think adults are infinitely easier to write than kids. So the fact that King wrote Jake that well speaks highly to King's ability and speaks highly of just this series. I mean, we've had people that list Jake as their favorite Dark Tower character.
Yeah.
So, and I totally see it. Like, he's
Are we still going
a
to do
wonderful fucking character.
Are we still going to do the good character showdown like we did with the bad character
Yeah,
showdown?
at some
for Dark
point.
Tower?
Yeah,
Is it on the list?
That'll be interesting. No, because we haven't really called it out on the
Oh,
show.
did we not call it out on the show? I thought we did.
No, it was just
Oh shit!
So yeah, I mean, we
Never
could,
mind. No.
we,
Cut the audio. Cut the audio. Cut the feed.
we could tease it though. It's been years now.
We
But
have.
We did a March Madness tournament where we did the most hated characters, and as Peter just let the cat out of the bag,
I'm the Tom Holland of the group. I let it slip.
we are talking that here in March, in a couple months, we will do the same thing, but we will be doing the favorite Dark Tower characters. So the other side of that, because we have not done that yet. So March Madness will be this year or next year, this next March, 2022. We will be doing the top, or I guess,
The good character.
yeah,
showdown.
we're going to do a freaking bracket and do everyone's favorite Dark Tower character. Do you have any predictions? That's a tough one.
Yeah,
man.
I imagine all you flag fanatics are going to put him on there, even though he's absolutely not allowed on there because he is not a good guy.
He's the hero of the story, man.
No, he's not. He's not. Even Stephen King has stated he is a villain. So you cannot put him in this madness. It is not allowed.
'Cause-
he was on the bad guy list.
Because I think that was he? Did we have him on there? I don't know.
Well, it was fan voted, so
Yeah,
I voted for him.
So yeah, Alan's mentioned. So the last one, the final, came down to Rhea of the Coos, and Cordelia Delgado was our final two, and Rhea won. So Rhea is the most hated. And the thing is like
it's most hated is the problem.
and the thing is, we came into that, and I think I predicted up front it's going to be either Cordelia or Rhea. Like,
So, okay,
in my
so-
mind they were so. But for the other side, though, I don't know how that's going to go because
Okay.
there's a few beloved characters. I don't know how it's going to.
So Alan makes a point here. He says for most hated question mark. I
Oh
forgot.
no, he's saying the last one went
no,
to
no,
Rhea.
no. I know, but that's what I'm correcting myself based off of what he said.
Oh yeah.
It's not
So- yeah, it
bad
wasn't
guys.
bad.
It's
Yeah.
not good guys.
Yeah.
It's most hated and most loved.
Yeah.
So Flag would absolutely be allowed on either list
Yeah.
because you can hate
And
him
I
or
don't,
you can
I don't
love
think
him.
he was on the last one because again,
Well, no,
because it
'cause-
wasn't villain, it was just hated.
Yeah, it was
and so
hated.
hated was just like yeah.
No, because you love to hate him, but you don't even hate him
Well, I
because
don't-
you guys are freaks and love him.
he's going around saving people.
Talking to
that-
you freaks that love Flag.
He's going
All
around
you-
saving people that roll in murders. It's
saving people. Well, he brings Nort back to life to deliver a message to damn a woman. Yeah, great guy.
okay. So let's a lot of tangents here, but let's go ahead and do the number one for everyone else here. The extended quartet. Chris from the UK has Bobby Garfield from Hearts of Atlantis. John from Buffalo has Jake Chambers, as does Joe from Washington. And then he has a note here saying, "Go then. There are other worlds in these." I mean, how can you not go with one of the greatest lines in the series?
Yep.
Coming from Mr. Jake there. And then Mike has one that we actually haven't seen yet. Danny Torrance. I had him as my one of my honorable mentions. But he says living in that hotel and not going insane gets Danny the gold. Cheating here, but Danny Torrance's whole life arc is amazing. And like that's the thing is like honestly, he's so iconic. And part of that is the Kubrick movie that like I could see him showing up for people. I mean, so I wouldn't say you're cheating because like honestly, I think just because I didn't put Danny up there doesn't mean that he wouldn't belong there for other people. So
True that.
So yeah, he goes through a lot. I mean, yeah, fuck,
Even as a kid.
yeah, he goes through a lot. I mean, abusive dad, like everything in the hotel. Like there's a lot that goes on for him,
Yeah.
and even shit we get from Dr. Sleep that is flashback to other shit from him as a kid. He does go through a lot. So when I think you can count all that, you just can't count him as an adult. So, but I would agree, even if we're not counting that as part of this contest, his overall arc is incredible. So that is the number one for everyone here. So that's great. So that's the lists for top 10. If you want to send it in and be part of the stats, go ahead and send that. Go ahead and send those in before October 9th. And Peter, are you going to change yours then? Change your list before?
I need to. I got to. I can't believe
you have no choice.
I have. It is beyond my control. I have to.
So we'll just quickly let you go over your final list next time, and I'll have the stats in our Palaver section to throw out of what our stats were for all this, because I know I'm a nerd for it. I know Peter's a nerd for it. Hopefully there's some other listeners out there that enjoy that as well. I just didn't have time for this episode to get those prepped beforehand. So
Slacker.
yeah, and then Peter letting the cat out of the bag. We got March Madness coming up. That'll be fun. So you know, the other thing we can do though is if you guys want to start sending in the nominations for that.
Yeah.
Email those in. Send those to the email saying your March Madness, say you nominate whoever. Like, because that's what we did last time. We just let the entire thing be filled by people responding to us and giving us names. There were even some on there that made me uncomfortable. Stephen King, in the realm of him being a Dark Tower character. You know, he was not overly loved by a lot of people.
There were people who hated characters that I liked, and there were people who were on there that you liked.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the thing with the madness, is that it's not me and Tad's opinion. It's the extended contents.
Yeah, so go ahead and start sending those in. We got a little while until we're actually there, but certainly there's going to be some prep involved, and then maybe let's mark it for, let's say, January. We'll start narrowing it out to figure out what our final bracket's going to look like, so that we have some time to get it all built out for March. And the voting.
I guess that's true. Is that we actually do need to be getting the characters now. I was thinking that we didn't have to do this until March, but we want to do it in March.
Yeah, we want the voting in March,
and we want to conclude it in March. Well, there's only going to be 2 episodes in March. One of them could be a book club. We haven't looked at the calendar for 2022.
Yeah, not yet.
2022. What the hell am I saying? 2022. How does that make sense in your brain?
We could also review it, like if we had to, after March, because that's when the thing would be like solidified, right? So
That's true.
so go ahead and send those in. But that will do it for this episode. Let's go ahead and hit our outro stuff. Are you what? I seemed like you were giving me a look there. Okay.
No, just listening.
Okay.
I was wondering if you wanted me to give the email real fast, but no, that's fine.
Well, let me hit this other stuff first. So if you want to subscribe to us, you can do that on any podcast service out there. You can stream us on Spotify or Stitcher. You can find the show notes at darktowerpalaver.com. You can find all the stuff that we talked about today if you want to read the full things, as well as there is a thing over a button on there for the store, which is like an open box. And then if you want to become a patron, part of the Dark Tower Palaver Patreon quartet, you can do that over at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. And if you want to contact us, for instance, to nominate someone for the most beloved, you can do that in a number of ways. But in terms of for the March Madness thing, do those email wise. It's a lot easier for me to compile them if they're in one place. Maybe as we get closer to like January, maybe I'll throw it on social media. But if we can get them all on email, that'd be awesome because it's easier. So Peter can tell you all the details for that.
Tad's saying email us. It's darktowerpalaver@gmail.com. In the subject line, if you could be so kind as to just put the word madness, so that Tad knows right away that you're mentioning that you want a madness, one of the most beloved characters.
Madness or Macho Man, one of the two. It's
we stream all of our shows. It's youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bells to get the notifications. That's very important, so you know when we're going live. And then our social media is facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. Our Twitter is @darktowerpod. That's @darktowerpod. And then the Instagram is darktowerpalaver. All one word, no spaces.
Indeed. And gotta throw one of those in there. I know I throw it on there in the post-production, so people listening on the podcast hear it, but we gotta throw some in for the live audience as well. That's my sound checker. You know, I just have a quick little thing there. It's a couple seconds.
Yep.
I can just throw it on there when I'm setting up the recording, make sure all the audio levels are well for the tablet.
Is he allowed on the list?
Oi?
Yeah.
Why would he not be?
I was going to say, you better not freaking snub him. He's allowed.
I mean, honestly, he's probably going to be a finalist.
Yeah.
For Beloved. Like, I think holding him off, I guess I could and just say humans only, you know.
That's what I was going to say. Are you going to pull some bullshit and make my Oi not allowed on the list? Because I'll fight you right now.
He's good for cuddling or for wringing like a towel.
God damn it. Hashtag Ted is terrible. You deserve that one too.
We're getting there in the book clubs too.
No.
We're about to encounter Oi for the first time, and then, you know, not long after that, we'll be in Lud, and we'll see Oi not only almost plummeting down a bridge.
No, Alan. No. Humans only. No. Don't be a racist.
Almost falling down the bridge, and then, of course, the whole
ringing
like a towel. So, We saw Billy Bumblers for the first time
We did.
in the book club just recently. So, so that is this episode.
Okay, I'm going to say it real fast. If you allowed Andy the robot to be on there, Oi better be allowed.
Was Andy on the
Andy
most
was
hated?
allowed.
On the most
Andy
hated?
was allowed.
Is Rhea human?
No. No. Neither is Flag, though, so.
Sure he is. He's a lovable
No.
he's a lovable character. But with that, we'll sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
All right, thank you guys in the chat. Thank you
you're
guys,
such a bastard.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Why do I do this with you?
You guys make it fun. You know what's it's surprising to me? I'll say we're off the podcast now. We're still on the live here. Is my comment about Bill being responsible for his death? I didn't get a hashtag for that.
Yeah, you did. Oh, you deserved one.
Yeah, you did. Maybe it's because you were so shocked.
I was so mad.
and mad that
I was mad beyond a joke. That was legit a bullshit comment. God.
Oh man, see, it means I still got it. I can still slide those in there and get you really upset because it's so often you could just like wave me away and just like shake your head in disapproval. But the fact that I could still get you all riled up, just that.
I need to get to the dad level with you where it's, Dad, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I don't think it'll ever happen because you're such a bastard. But and I say that with the most love and affection for Tad. I know he does it just to poke the bear. That's what, he loves doing it.
But yeah, you guys are awesome. Thank you guys for joining us. It's always good to have you guys as part of the conversation. So we will see you guys in a couple weeks for a book club, Wastelands Part 10. And then after that, we will be regular for basically one cycle. 111, 112, and then book club. And then after that, the last 3 episodes of the year, 113, book club 12, and then 114 is our year-end bash. So only one more full normal cycle this year, and then we've got more jumbling by the end. So we're getting there. So we will see you guys in a fortnight.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.